Shabbat Shalom, awesome tribes of Israel and the awesome clans of Israel everywhere on this planet Earth. Baruch Hashem Yahweh, may all the glories, may all the majesty of Yahweh be revealed to the world. And the Master Yehoshua the Messiah. I hope you can all hear me well. It's a Shabbat over here. A little bit noise around me with ambulances and fire brigades going around, I guess attending to the necessaries over here. Shabbat Shalom to Rabbi Kefa over to Texas, the land of oil, and Rabbi Zachariah, you guys inhabiting the land of oil in Texas, and the others in here, welcome. Our Parsha today is Parsha's Mattot. It's all about the tribes, and I think we will have a little bit look at that, and I want to also have a look at Matthew chapter 2 in a little bit detail. But before I do, this is the joke of the week. Two lawyers go into a cafe and order a couple of drinks. They take a couple of sandwiches from the briefcases and begging to eat. The owner of the cafe comes over to them and yells, "What do you think you're doing? You can't eat your own sandwiches in here." So the lawyers shrug their shoulders and exchange sandwiches. Okay, so this was the joke for today, and we will look at Matthew chapter 2. But before I go, I want to just point out a few things from the Parsha's Mattot. I want to point out one thing, is that if I open it, let me open the Bible here. We are in the book of Numbers, and it will be chapters 30 verse 1. It says, Moshe spoke to the heads of the tribes concerning the children of Israel, saying, "This is the thing which Yahweh has commanded. If a man vow a vow to Yahweh, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word. He shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. If a woman also vow a vow to Yahweh and bind herself by a bond, being in her father's bait, father's house in her youth, and her father hears her vow and her bond wherewith she has bound her soul, and her father shall hold his shalom at her, then all the vow shall stand, and every bond wherewith she has bound her soul shall stand." Before I get into this, Rabbi, thank you very much for everybody who participated in helping the Christian lady in the East. That is now been, the task has now been almost fulfilled. So we are about there. So Rabbi for that. Now I wanted to get into the spiritual and the physical of these vows, and I will jump from here to the next bit, which is Matthew chapter 2. But I want to get into this literally and figuratively and positionally and spiritually, what it actually means. So if you read this literally, it means that if you're ever going to make a vow, especially a woman, in our culture today, women are, pretty much, they don't really care who they come under. They have no understanding of that. So they believe that they are free to run around, run the roost, and so on and so forth in the Western world. But in the part that Americans call the 1040 window, the 1040 window is not like that. The 1040 window, even though American culture is patriarchal to a certain extent, the 1040 window is very patriarchal, and women cannot run around, run their own roost. And that doesn't even happen in places like Mexico. Even there you have a kind of a family structure. So what the Bible here explains, the law of God explains, that all women, whether they are married or whether they are single, or whether they are divorced or whether they are widowed, they come under a household of a man, and a man would be their father if they are young. If they are divorced or widows, it will still be the father or the brothers. And in in a married woman, it will be the husband who will be their head. So what the Bible explains in layman terms, that if a woman has made a vow and her father has not heard of it, or her husband has not heard of it, or her brothers, whoever is deemed the steward of that household, it's said that they can annul the vow. So to give it to you a simple, if you are married and you have a wife, and your wife says, hey, I'm going to give $10,000 to, I made a vow to God, then I'm going to give $10,000 to the church, and you come in the house and you didn't know that your wife made a vow, you find out that your wife made a vow to donate $10,000 to the church, you can annul that vow. You can say, no, you're not donating $10,000, I annul that vow. And that would be legal in God's eyes. That is not breaking a vow, that is permissible, because that is how God has allowed it. However, if the husband comes in the house and the wife says, I'm going to donate $10,000 to such and such church, and the husband remains quiet, then that vow will stand, provided sun has set. In other words, you have time period from the start of the sun, in the morning, the sunrise, to the sunset. If the husband remains quiet, doesn't say nothing, that vow is now binding on the woman, the woman who said it. And same goes for everybody else, widow, divorced woman. A widow or a divorced woman comes under the authority, because when a woman becomes divorced, as I said, in the patriarchal cultures, in the biblical cultures, when a woman was divorced, they normally go back to their father's house or their mother's house, father meaning father, mother. And today we have 45-year-olds living in their father and mother's house. It's pretty common. They break up their marriage, they destroy their homes, and then they go back to the mom, and they're attached to the hip of their mom. This is actually quite common in the Western culture. But in the Eastern culture, which is very highly patriarchal, the commonality is that you never leave your mom and dad. You're married and you're living with them. In other words, it may be what's termed over here an extension to the house. And I have seen in America that they have extensions to the house called the mother-in-law extension. Here you're dragging your mother-in-law with you. Over there, you don't drag your mother-in-law. You actually live, the woman who comes into the house, the wife, she lives with the mother-in-law. So it would be it's the opposite, where the wife has an extension. So she will have an extension to the house where the wife and the husband lives, and another part of the house will be where the father-in-law and the mother-in-law and the sister-in-law and the brother-in-law, all of those people live. That is the extended family structure that the Bible presents. And you find that all over the Arab world. You find it in Pakistan, India, Bangladesh, Afghanistan. All those countries have this structure, period. And they pretty much stay together even in the Western world. When they migrate over to the Western countries, they do the same. They live together. They may have a house. It's not uncommon for me to have seen Indian, Pakistani people having houses next door to each other. One might be one brother's house, another will be the father's and the mother's house. It's very, very common. In London today as well, very common. So Rabbi Kefa is saying that I see this as a San Antonio as well a lot. My ex-wife Mexicans have been back with mama and daddy for some years now. Yeah, that's right. So it's very common here. So for instance, in Rabbi Kefa's case, the wife took a divorce from the husband, so she's gone back to the mama and papa's house. It's very common in the Mexican culture, because they do inherit a lot of biblical values. So I guess when she remarries, then she'll go to the husband's house, etc. So that's again common. So that's really what the Bible presents. But what the Bible also presents is, I wanted to challenge you to get an understanding, is that the Bible never reads a story of a poor man. The Bible never says there was a such and such poor man living in such and such tribe. Have you ever noticed that? No part of the Torah ever says that there was such and such poor man living in such and such poor territory. It never happened. Never happened. Now you got to ask yourself the question, why doesn't the Bible ever mention a poor man? Why does it always talk about cattle it talks about bulls, it talks about calves. I mean, these things today are foreign to most people. They don't even understand what that actually means. I'll now put meaning to that. And within the context of the Torah, the law of God, if we look within this passage and we go a little bit down further into the passage, and it says that it talks about the vow first, then it goes forward after the vow, and it says that of every tribe, in chapter 31, it talks about a war. It talks about offerings after the war. It says that of every tribe 1,000 throughout all the tribes of Israel shall you send to the war. So they were given out of the thousands of Israel, 1,000 of every tribe, 12,000 armed for war. It means 1,000 each from 12 tribes is 12,000. And then it talks about Pinchas, the son of Eleazar, the Kohen, to the war and the holy instruments. Then after the war, it talks about the offerings, and it starts labeling the offerings. They are to be given to the priesthood. And then it says as follows. It says, verse 32, and the spoils of war, being the rest of the plunder which the men of war had caught, was 600,000 and 75,000 sheep. It then says, and 72,000 cattle, and 61,000 asses, and 32,000 persons, etc. These are the spoils of war. Obviously they went to a battle. They won the battle, they brought these things back. Then it says, verse 37, and Yahweh's tribute of the sheep was 675, and the cattle was 36,000. Now just think for a second. 675 sheep. Let's just round that figure up to 700, and let's times it by $200 of today's value. 700 times $200 each. Think of the value of the sheep that in dollar terms, and we're talking about ancient times. And now if we calculate 30, it says the Yahweh's tribute of sheep was 675. If I times that by 200, that's $135,000, by the way. Those of you math buffs, make note. $135,000. If I take the cattle, it says 36,000 cattle. Not small amount. It's not like or 3 cattle. 36,000. And I want to take this number, and I want to then I'm going to times this number. I'm going to say a cattle, meaning a cow, meaning anywhere from a whale to a fully grown cow. I'll just label it about $4,000 each. Let's just make around $4,000 each. That is, my goodness, that is $144 million by today's value. $144 million. So, and the cattle were, talks about the cattle. Then it says, and the asses were 30,005. Let's not calculate the asses. Let's not calculate the other things that they had to give. Now think that, what does this actually mean? It means very simply this, that if you've been taught that you've got to be poor, you've got to take a vow of poverty, and I've heard that. I'm not making these things up. These are conversations that I've had with my students who have told me that some of them had taken vows of poverty, and they had tried to live a life of poverty, no marriage, piety. That's what they were told, that this will bring them piety. That is very far from the truth. There is no such thing as piety from poverty, but there is such a thing as embarrassment from poverty, and ridicule and curses that come, that you have bestowed upon yourself. Why? Because you have taken Yahweh's goodness, God's goodness, and you have misapplied it, and you have now said, oh, I'm not gonna have abundance in my life, I'm not gonna have wealth in my life, but I'm gonna have poverty. So you turned it around. The covenant that God made with Abraham was not just a covenant of salvation. It was not just a covenant of land. It was a covenant of abundance. It was a covenant of health. It was a covenant of wealth. But what most Christian churches did, and you can notice that world over, Christian pastors, countries like Singapore, the student I'm talking about, he was from Singapore. He took a vow of poverty, and I told him that you now have to undo your vow of poverty, and you have to now lay an offering, and that offering has to be equivalent value of a sheep, and then we have to undo your vow, because your vow is totally wrong. It cannot stand, because I as a Kohen heard the vow probably years later, but he probably did it years before. So he realized that what he was taught was totally wrong. While the pastors that he saw over there, they were driving Rolls Royces, Bentleys. You know, some of these pastors in Singapore are very rich, and so yet they were teaching nonsensical garbage to their congregations of, you know, remaining poor and piety and all of that. So this is how God's law has been unfortunately been maligned by the Gentiles around us. But we understand, as the awesome tribes of Israel, that we have been given these covenants that have everything within them. Everything. It means salvation, health, property, abundance, money in the banks, cars outside, everything. So it's not a shame for any of us, any of you, to own properties, to have bank balances, to be filthy rich. It's not shameful to do that. Absolutely not. And you should aim for the best of your lives. You should always aim for it. And I'm going to take it back to the covenant. And I want to take it back to where the Torah speaks about the vow. And I want to show you something else here, which is not spoken of by maybe many of the rabbis, because maybe they don't want to talk about that. Maybe they don't know about it, or maybe they don't want to talk about it. It says that if a man vow a vow to Yahweh, okay, let's turn that around. Yahweh, many times in the Bible it spells as Adonai, means Lord, Master, which is fine. It says if a man vow a vow to his master, or swear an oath to bind his soul with a bond, he shall not break his word, he shall do according to all that proceeds out of his mouth. Now, by the way, this is a two-way thing. When you do a bond with God, it's not just you and God, it is God back to you as well. In other words, you bind yourself with God and God binds himself back with you. Now, I want to take that over to the New Testament, and I want to show you something that the Messiah said to his disciples, and I think it's very relevant. Let me just pull up those verses from the New Testament, and let's go there. Matthew 18:18. One second. Matthew 18:18. Let me open up this. Matthew 18:18. Oops, got the wrong one. Well, Matthew 18:18. Let's go there. Matthew 18:18. I want you to take note of this. It's very important. Here the Messiah is speaking in respect to God's holy law. By the way, this actually connects right back. It says, "Verily I say to you, whatever you shall bind on earth shall be bound in the Shemaim, in the heavens, and whatever you shall loose on earth shall be loosed in Shemaim." There's a little footnote there. Due to lack of room, I didn't put a huge footnote, I put a small one. It said binding and loosing are rabbinic terms which stand as such. Binding means to restrict and loosing means to allow. So here, I didn't go any further than that, but there's actually a lot more than that within that particular interpretation. And it is this, that it means like an oath. It also applies to the oath. Binding also represents doing a swear word. Swear word meaning like taking God's name for an oath. It means that I take an oath and I do something, and God says, okay, I will do something for you back. So what does it actually mean? It means this. If I said to God, now let's apply this in real terms. If I said to God, I want a car. I want a car to drive. And I need a car to drive. I want a car to drive. So I'm going to bind myself with you. You're supplying my car. You're going to give me a car. So I'm going to take an oath with you, and you can do it the other way. You can say, I'm driving my car, because you've already given it to me. And God will say, okay, you have it. Because why does God say you have it? Because you haven't even got the car outside your door. And how can you say you already have it? Is because the contractual agreement that God made with Israel back in the day, with the covenants he made with Abraham, and thereunto, it also means this, that this is the teachings that I've been trying to teach you, is that it's not something that you think, it's going to happen in the future. Yes, theoretically, yes, but practically it's already happened. So what you do, you bring it to the forefront. You got two ways to do it. You can say, I have a car, and I'm driving it now, or you can say, I will be driving this car. Both will actually work. To be honest, both will work. Because in my experience, both work. But you can apply it in the present tense, you can apply it in the future tense. For me, when I did it, I applied it in the future tense, and it worked. It'll take a little bit longer, but it will still work. But in the present tense, it will work quicker. So therefore, my suggestion is that you treat this oath just like a promise between you and God. Well, where does God live? Well, God doesn't live in some shadowy house, far, far away where we can't reach Him, because the promise was made within the end of the book of Matthew. And I can go into the Torah and show you this in the Torah as well, the law of God itself, that God made a promise that He will be with us. Wherever we are, He'll be with us. And God is indeed within us. And the Messiah said, I will be with you. And then the translations, different translations say different things. I will be with you to forever, or I'll be with you to the end of the age. And so the Messiah is within you. Now the Holy Spirit, Ruach Kodesh, is also within you. The Holy Spirit is within you. So where do you access that car then? What about that oath that you're binding with God and saying, I want to have this car and you're supplying my need and I have it now. So that car, by the way, that oath is you. When it says what you will bind will be bound on this earth, and what you will release will be released, or loose what will be loosed, is actually talking about you setting an affirmation, you setting a piece of text and saying, you know what, my desire is to drive a car. And you set yourself, whatever that car is, you set yourself that desire, and then that's it. Now you bound yourself to God. Okay, so this might be a woman and this might be a man. And you might say, well, how does it affect a woman? Because if she's married, does it affect her? If she's not married, does it affect her? You see, when you're wanting a car, I'm pretty sure that most, wives who are married, women who are married, they probably already have an understanding with their husband that, hey, honey, we need this car. And the husband's not going to say, no, we don't need the car. He'll probably say, yes, we like to have this car. Or a woman is by herself and she says that I need to have a car that will help me drive from A to B. Nobody's restricting her and nobody's denying her. So here, let me apply it the other way, that command about, your stewardship. Who is your steward? So your steward, when the husband is not around, the father is not around, the brother is not around, who is your steward? At that time, Yahweh, the God of Israel, is your steward. He becomes your steward. He becomes your bond. So who are the stewards underneath him? Who directly represent God are the priesthood. So they'll become God's mouthpiece. So in other words, if you made an oath and the priest heard it, it's like Yahweh hearing it. That if the priest says it stands, it stands. If the priest says it breaks, because that is Yahweh's voice. Therefore, take it like this. If you made an affirmation, an oath, you said, I am going to have a car, and it's going to be, Ford something, Ford Focus or Ford Truck. I'm going to have this for myself. Then that oath will stand between you and God. Now you come before God every morning, and you say, you're kind of reminding God. You're saying, I'm driving this beautiful car. And what's God going to say? No, you can't have it. No, God's going to say, of course you are. Of course you are my son. Of course you are my daughter. You're driving this beautiful car. So God is going to allow you to have it. But you have to believe in it. Because remember, one of the things that the Messiah also said, that when you ask for something, you must believe in it. You cannot go half-heartedly. I've seen a lot of people in this life who do things half-heartedly. Their belief is not even there. So they like to believe it, but for some reason their belief is being obstructed by maybe doubt. Doubt usually comes in. Doubt is what we call resistance. Resistance usually comes from outside influences, or maybe your childhood influences. Maybe your mom said to you when you were a child, or your dad said to you, you can't have it. They said to you, you said, Dad, I want a bicycle. And he says, no, you can't have it. I don't have the money. So, later you say, Dad, I want a car. He says, no, you can't have it. I don't have the money. So what happens is you build resistances. These are called belief systems. And those belief systems can later in your life impact you, because when you grow up and you leave that father's and mother's house and you live your own life, it will impact you because you're carrying those resistances with you. So one of the things you have to let go is the resistance. A number of ways to do that, and one of the ways is to set full belief in God. Full belief that God is able to give you what you desire. And there's nothing is impossible with God at all. And God will give it to you. So you must have that belief. You must have the belief that God is going to give you. However, if you allow resistances to continue to fester you, then there are means and ways to deal with those resistances. However, I don't want to get into that bit within this lecture, how and where, but there are many ways to deal with resistances. Now, having said that, as I said, simply you need to come, you have a desire. Your desire is, I want to have my house. I want to live in a house. I don't want to live in a rented property. I want to live in my own property. You have a desire. Perfectly valid. Israel has a right. God has given you the right to have your own property, your own land, your own way of living. Is not restricted you. God doesn't ever say to you can't live in your own house. You must live in a tent, or you must be on the street. So you set a desire. You set a desire and you say that I'm living in my 3-bed or 4-bed house. I'm living in my 4-bed house. It's wonderful. It's great. I'm very happy with it. Once you set your desire, you then set forth with that desire and believe. I can tell you something of guarantee today. I will, and I want you to take my challenge. Take my challenge today, and you can prove me wrong. If you write today, if today you decide that you want to live in a 3-bed house, it might be 3-bed, it might be 2-bed, depending on your desire. It might even be 4-bed, or maybe 5. I'm just saying. So if you decide that you want a 3-bedroom house, for argument's sake, and I will give you a challenge. Write it down. Write down this thing. Say that I am so happy and grateful now that I'm living in my 3-bedroom house. Just write that. That's the one-line sentence you're going to write, and I'll repeat it again. I am so happy and grateful now that I'm living in my 3-bedroom house. Full stop. End. Every day, get up in the morning at 5 o'clock and just sit for visualization, maybe 5 minutes, no more than 5. And you just visualize your house. You're living in the house. You're in the kitchen. You're in the bathroom. You're in the living space, speaking to your friends, speaking to your family, and you just believe it and you scribe it. You scribe it. I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm living in my 3-bedroom house. Full stop. I guarantee you this. If you do this principle, and you must scribe this every day, in other words, religiously, scribe it, I can guarantee you that within the year you will have your house. You will be living in that house that you already subscribing for. But again, you must have the belief system in place to believe that. Now, God can only deliver to you what you believe in. If you go half-heartedly, then you're going to run into all sorts of issues and problems. So you must go in with full belief and full bond. In other words, you're making an oath with God. Remember, this is the oath that God said, that if your father doesn't say anything, remember God said, if your father or your head doesn't say anything, who is the father and the head of us? God is the father and the head of us. God's not going to say to you, hey, you can't have that house. God's going to say to you, God's going to remain quiet. When you make that petition, when you make that request, God is silent. You don't hear this voice coming out of the cloud. No, you can't have it. It doesn't say that. So God's going to be totally silent, because it means that when God is silent, He's accepted your vow, accepted your bond. Once He accepts your bond, you're in it. You're in it to win it. You will get your house. This is guaranteed. It doesn't matter if it's a house, if it's a car, if it's a portion of money. It could be anything. But I'm just giving you a simplistic solution to what the Torah commands us, saying that, you set a vow and God will meet it. It's both ways. It happens both ways. So, unfortunately, people only read it one-sided. That's a multi-dimensional text in the book of Numbers, that people read one-sided. It doesn't just mean I make a vow. It means he also made a vow with me. And I made a vow with him, and he made a vow with me. Hence why it happens. Look, let me tell you something, right? 21 years ago, nearly 21 years ago, let's just say 20 years and let me see how many months. 3 plus 7, 10. 20 years and 10 months ago, I made a vow with Yeshua, who you call Jesus. Many of you call him Jesus. I made a vow with him in a bank, in an investment bank. I said that I will go and teach what you want me to teach regarding the law of God. Whatever it is you want me to teach from there, I will teach it. But you will take care of me. You will take care of me for the rest of my life. You will be my provider. Agreed? Got it? We got a decision. We agree. And you know what he said to me? I'll tell you what he said to me. He said to me that I will be with you forever. So that was my vow that was made with him. I made a vow with him 20 years and 10 months ago. It has been 20 years, 10 months. I have never gone without food a single day, unless I'm fasting, of course, personally. I've never gone without food. My table has always been full of food. You name it, I have it in my house. Why? Because I made a vow. Baruch Hashem Yahweh. I made a vow and he fulfilled his vow. So don't take this just as a one-way street. This is not a one-way street. This is a two-way street. When you go before God and you make a vow, God will honor your vow back to you. But you have to believe it. You can't just take it as a joke and a laugh. I was about to run my family, I was about to go home and tell my wife that I'm no longer a Muslim. How do you think that's going to go down? The whole shebang, like everybody will be up in arms. And my, father-in-law will be against me and all sorts of problems will come into my life. What do you think? I'm just going to lay my life down and just be beat up left, right and center? I've got to have some guarantee from God. Well, where is he for me? What's he going to do for me? He's going to put me on the street? Am I going to lose everything I worked for the last 10 years of my life? Of course not. So that is where I made my vow with Yeshua of Nazareth. I said, I will also have a vow with you that you will provide for my needs. And I don't care. I'm not going to go to no church and say, please help me with food, please help me with clothing, please help me with a house. And you know what happened? I went to a family in England, and I'll give you a true testimony of another family in England. Rabbi Kefa saying that most people are asking God, what does God want them to have? Yeah, God is silent because he's waiting to hear you say what you want. Two-way street indeed. Absolutely. And I'll tell you this family, right? I met this family in England. Sincere family. They're from Pakistan. And the man was expecting the church to give him a handout of £10,000, which is about $13,000 today. Give him a handout of $13,000 to put down deposit for a house. I just shook my head, right? What the heck is he talking about? What do you mean he wants the church to give him money? Why didn't he make that vow with God? Why didn't he ask God to do that? That was my question. I just shake my hand and I just didn't want to say anything to him, to upset him. Because that was, to me, that was totally wrong thing to do. Why would you go to church? He probably still is waiting. Yeah, he probably still is waiting because the church never gave him nothing. They never gave him money to put down deposit on a house. But guess what? When I made my vow with the master, I had many houses. So it's not like I lost one home and I gained two more. So this was my story. So there is a difference of how you make a vow with God. You don't wait for God to turn to your door. You go to God's door and you make him turn to you. You tell him that what you want. And there's no shame in that. There's no shame in you asking God that I want such and such. I want it. Yes, it's my need. I desire it. There is no shame in having a desire. A desire for a beautiful wife, a desire for a beautiful husband, a desire for a nice house, a desire for a nice... There's absolutely no shame in that. So why would you be ashamed? I wasn't ashamed of it. My goodness, I was working on a $100,000 job. Do you think I'm going to be ashamed of that? Absolutely not. I'm going to go to God and say, everything I stand for is in jeopardy. Because when I set forth my belief in you, my whole family is going to turn against me. We're talking about Muslims here, not Christians, They want to kill you for that. So I said, I'm about to be killed for turning my faith. But what do you think? I want to just stand there and say, it's okay, I like to be all pious and come and kill me. So this is not going to happen. I said, I want everything. I want guarantees from you. So the first thing I asked the master was, I want a guarantee. I want an oath with you. You and me are going to have an oath together. I will do what you want. You will give me what I want. Answer was, yes, you can have it. And I went forth and I did what I needed to do. So therefore, my point is very simple. That you need to go to God and ask what you desire. The Master Yeshua, Jesus, is not going to just come to your door and say, hey, David, what can I do for you, my son? He's not going to do that. David, my son, you're going to have to go to him and ask him, I want this. This is my life. I need this, Let's make a deal. You're going to give me this? Okay, great. Thumbs up. We're going to have it together. I'm going to believe you're going to give me, and you're going to deliver your promises. And he will deliver his promises. Because why does he keep going on and saying? Why does the New Testament keep talking about asking? Ask, ask, ask. Why? So, because the New Testament is teaching you that it's a two-way street. Rabbi Kefa saying that many are still waiting for the Amazon moment with God and Jesus. Oh, my goodness. So this idea about setting a vow for piety to be poor is an absolute sin. It's a totally ludicrous and wrong thing to do. You are never to do that kind of vow. It will never stand. So therefore, don't ever think that piety comes from poverty. Poverty is a curse. One of the things that you need to do in your life is to remove that curse of poverty from you. If you are poor and you're listening to this, and you have difficulties in your life, I want you to do something. And I will tell you what you need to do. Get yourself a candle. One morning, I want you to do this ritual. I want you to get yourself a little candle. I don't care what color you get. White, blue, black, yellow. I don't care what color you get. Put your candle in front of you in the morning. Light it up. But before you light it up, put the candle in front of you. Speak to God and say that I remove this curse of poverty that is in my life. I remove it, I disregard it, I disown it. I will never have it again. I will never have this curse of poverty again. I will never worry about a bill again. I will never say, how am I going to pay my next bill? How am I going to do this next? So put that candle without lighting in front of you. Preferably blue if you can. If you can't get blue, then get white. They're readily available at Amazon, readily available in Walmart for a couple of dollars. You can find a dozen of them. So put your white candle in front of you. Set to God that today, the date, whatever the date is today, I set forth today's date as a turning point in my life. I will never ever want to be poor again. I remove this curse of poverty and this curse of so-called piety with poverty. I remove it from my life forever. I will never look back at this poverty again. I will never want to have it in my house, in my property, in my family. I remove it from myself completely. Close your eyes. Put your intention into the candle. You already made a vow with God now. Light that candle. Let it sit for about 5-10 minutes. And then put the candle out. Or you can you can do it two ways. We can extend the ritual or we can finish it in one day. If you want to extend it, we can extend the ritual to 11 days. You do it every day in the morning. For 11 days. 11th day you burn the candle all the way down. And you don't need to ever do that ritual again. Or you do it if you're going to do everything in one day, you do it in one day. You burn your little candle, you set your intention, you put everything into it, you burn it all the way down one day. And you remove the curse of poverty from you forever. You know what? I gave that advice to somebody in the East just yesterday. I told them that they need to do that and remove poverty from their life forever. They were very poor. This family is very, very poor in Pakistan. And I told them this is what they need to do. Because they were probably also brought up with the view that poverty equals piety. It doesn't. Poverty equals suffering. Poverty equals a curse. And poverty equals no piety. So you need to remove poverty before you. So this is something that you must do. If you're struggling with bills to pay and all these kind of things, that's the first thing you'll do, is to set forth in motion to remove poverty from your life by a vow. And this vow you're making with God, that you never want to be poor again. You will remove poverty from you forever. Poverty is a curse, by the way. Let me be very straight. It's a curse. And God doesn't give you that curse. You bring it onto yourself. Your parents bring it onto yourself, onto themselves, because they believed in it. They believe poverty equals piety. I've seen so many families in the East and the West that believe in this crap. It's a total crap. It is rubbish. It's just not true. Because our Torah always speaks about offerings of animals, offerings of sheep, cows, goats, birds for the poor, for those who don't have abundance, like they're not extremely rich. They can even give birds. My point is this, that even the ones who could give birds, they have to purchase the birds. They're not exactly poor, by the way, because even by today's standard, birds are costing about $500 for a bird. So if you went to buy a dove, it's not going to be for $20. It's going to be much more expensive. They charge you about $200 to $300 for a dove, and that might be a baby, sometimes $500. So my point is this, that there is no such thing as poor in the Bible. Israel's covenant is a rich covenant, and it is a giving covenant by God. It is an open covenant. God doesn't say that you have to be poor. You see, you are taught, and Rabbi Zachariah, you're right. Rabbi Zachariah is correct. He says we are taught to suffer now to get riches later in heaven. That is a total baloney. That is total crap. That is not true. You are to get your heaven right here on this earth, your desire, your happiness with your wife, with your children. If you are married, if you have children, you want to have your happiness here. You don't want to have this airy-fairy happiness when you die. Who cares when you die? I mean, come on, you already have the covenant. Your covenant is going to give you your heaven. But you don't need to worry about heaven. Worry about today, right now. Worry about what you want is today. Your wife wants to have, she wants to have nice food on the table today, not when she's in heaven. I mean, come on, that is religious mumbo jumbo. This almost sounds like it's coming from Christianity. When I was young, I was never taught how to be poor by my parents. My father actually taught me the value of money. He said, get as much money as you can, because the more money you have, the better for you. See, I hear from other people that how they were taught, right, money is bad, the love of money is the root of all evil, or they might say money itself, the love of money itself is root of evil. Whatever way they phrase it, it's a totally misnomer. It is not true. The love of money is not root of evil, and the money is not root of evil. Both are false, and both are just paradigm. You need to have a paradigm shift away from that crap. When you have a paradigm shift away from that kind of nonsensical teachings which religious pastors teach you, you will certainly have a paradigm shift. You will no longer think like you used to. So you need to start looking at things differently. You need to start looking at things that God is a giving God. God is an abundant God. God never has poverty. Did you ever see God wearing rags and begging money? Did you ever see that? So, they show this depiction of God with a beard in these old pictures, those pictures that they made in old European style. They show God, wearing a long beard, old man. None of that is true. God is none of those things. God is not an old man. God doesn't have a beard, and God is definitely not poor. So God is able to give everything. Absolutely, Olivia. Yeshua himself was from a very rich family. I wrote about it in my book, the house of David, the house of Dawood, and the house of Zadok. I wrote about that. Yeshua himself was from a very rich family. His mother belonged to one of the richest families in Israel. Eli, who was the father of Maryam, who was the mother of Yeshua, Jesus, she belonged to the richest man in Jerusalem. She was his daughter. Now you think about it. Where the church is portraying, oh, poor Mary, she didn't have room to stay and all that crap that they teach you. Totally wrong. Totally wrong. Joseph came to the second wife's house in Bethlehem. Joseph was married to 2 wives, by the way. They never teach you that. So Joseph left his Nazareth home, coming to the south for the census, to be in the second wife's house. And when I say second wife, that would be the first wife. She was the first wife, Miriam was the second wife. But the church will never teach you that. But however, we're not so much interested in how many wives Joseph had. We're definitely interested in the fact that the story that is given by churches is totally false, and it is totally wrong. It is not how things actually happened. Joseph belonged to a rich family as well, because Joseph's father was also very well known. He was a very influential man, and he was actually assassinated by the then ruling king. And you know who that king is. So if we go back, that is Herod. I'm talking about Herod. He was actually assassinated by Herod. And Ali, on the other hand, who was Miriam's father, he was also a very rich man. So you see, when you start really digging deep into these things, you find that what the church is teaching you is total lies and fabrications. Maybe there is a church out there that might be teaching truth, but I've yet to find it personally. So, by having said that, so far all I hear is this nonsensical crap about Jesus and Mary belonging to a poor family and they're not having room for him to sleep in. When quite the opposite is true. It was a time of a festival, and the time of the festival, Jerusalem was fully booked, with people coming in, pilgrimage and festival people. How could they have room in the inns? So, Joseph had his primary, home in down south, and he had in Bethlehem, and he had his secondary home in Nazareth. So Joseph was able to bring his wife from the north to the south, but he obviously had wife and children, other children too. He had to take care of those children. What do you think? A 50-year-old man? Joseph was a 50-year-old man, by the way, 50-something-year-old man. Do you think a 50-something-year-old man is going to be without wife and children? In those days, absolutely impossible. So don't believe all the crap that the churches teach you, that Joseph didn't have no wife and he married a young woman. He married a very young woman. Miriam was very young of age, and he married her alongside his other wife. Probably he had reasons to marry her. And we don't need to go into those reasons. But what is important is that the Messiah was to be born, this child was to be born as a result of this union. And so this was a noble birth. Having said that, it was a supernatural birth. Now I know a lot of people have a hard time believing in the virgin birth. I don't have a hard time with it. However, having said that, there's a lot more than just a virgin birth going on. So this man, this man that was born supernaturally, he came and he revealed many things to people. But he always went back to the Torah, to the law of God. He always showed the people what was and what is and what can be done. He always taught the people how they could be victorious. But people were not interested in victories through peace. They were only interested in victories through war. See, he separated himself from war because victory could be without a war, and that was absolutely true. You're asking the question, Eumisia, is it a sin to be with a wife? Is it a sin not to be with a wife? No, it's not a sin at all not to be with a wife. You're talking about a single person. A single person should get married with the right wife, right husband, etc. But it's not a sin for them to be single, unless they made a vow. If they made a vow to be single, that, by the way, cannot stand. It will only stand for a short period of time, like maybe 6 months, year. They could do that, but otherwise that vow is invalid. It will not stand. We're talking about a vow here, not about just individual choices. So, and then again, in this world today, everybody doesn't marry everybody else. They have to find the right person to marry. So there's a lot of caveats to this today. Having said that, sometimes people have to travel far away to find the right wife. So my point, very simple, that God never speaks about, we never have a story in the Bible that says such and such man was so poor, he had no money, and he was part of Israel, and so therefore the tribes of Israel went to his aid. Never happened. It never will happen in the million years. So God's people, always rich, always abundant, always in favor. So you are God's people. Awesome tribes of Israel. You're always going to be, with favor, with abundance. Claim it, receive it. Because you cannot be living in a poor man's life. How can you be a blessing to the nations? God said that my nation will be a blessing to the nations. My people will be a light to the Gentiles. How are we going to be a light to the Gentiles if we can't get off the floor? Think about that. How are you going to be a light to the Gentiles, standing on the footpath and holding a card that says, please help me? How is that going to be a blessing to the Gentiles? You become a curse to the Gentiles because you're doing those kind of things. So the problem is you. Problem is not God, it's you. You have to change your mindset. Have a 180 degrees turnaround. Start asking God for the things you desire. Now, there was a testimony that came from Yael, woman of the tent. I wanted to give it to you. Maybe I'll give it to you in brief. Not all of it, but in brief. From what I know, I don't know the full extent of it yet. But last week, there was an incident where one of her relatives became ill, and they ended up in hospital in the ICU, I guess, in emergency place. And then she asked me to give her a call. She wanted to have a discussion with me regarding what she could do for that relative. So anyhow, I instructed her what she needed to do, and she applied that particular instruction. And I think that Yael told me, if I'm not mistaken, 3 days later, that person was out of the ICU and in a much better condition than he went in, he came out. So, having said that, what is important to understand is that when you put something to effect, you can make a lot of changes, good changes for people that you don't even know, or people that you know. You have that power given you, but you're going to have to know how to apply it. Because when you apply that power, then you can have the power to make changes. So this is why I said that earlier. I said that if you have the desire to have something, it is not wrong to have a desire to be married, or to have a wife, or to have a husband, or desire to have a house, or desire to have a car. All these are normal things. You know, in the olden days, the desire would be to have a donkey, or desire would be to have a horse, or a cart, or maybe 2 oxen. You know, that would be the desire in the old days. Modern day desire, an ox has changed into a truck. You know, a donkey has changed into a car, and a horse is changed into a sports car. These are the modern desires, and there's nothing wrong with them. So my point is this, that you're perfectly within your remit to desire those things and receive those things, but believe that you can receive them. As I said, that scribing is a very powerful way of reminding God that God has made an oath with you. Very powerful way to bring things to effect fast. So my suggestion is that when you write something, you know, and this is what I would suggest to you, and this is spoken of by many Gentiles as well, by the way. As I said to you, the Gentiles are taking our practices and they are applying them in their life, and they are getting benefits, while our people are still thinking that I'm going to be poor to be better. You know, I'm going to be poor to be pious, which is totally wrong. So you got to formulate your desire, and you maybe take a card. You know, these cards you can buy at Walmart, pretty inexpensive. Circulate a little bit, couple of dollars, get your cards, and you on a piece of card, you know, write down your desire. A desire could be, I'm living in my 5-bedroom house. That's a desire. Nothing wrong with that. For somebody else, it might be, I'm driving my new car. Perfectly fine desire. So you write it down, and you know, once you wrote it down, you maybe make 3 copies of that card. One you carry to your office, one you keep in your pocket, and one you keep in the house. And maybe another one you make for your bathroom. You put it in your bathroom window. So every time you visit these places, every time, 4 or 5 times a day, you read that card that says that, you know, I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm living in my new house, or I'm so happy and grateful now that I'm driving my new car. That's a desire, by the way. It's perfectly fine, allowable desire. When you do that and you scribe that every morning, maybe you're a shift worker, maybe you scribe your little notepad in the evening. That's okay as well. You can scribe it in the evening if you work shifts, and then you will do that every day, religiously, every day. You know, day one, you mark it day 1, number 1. You can write it 5 times if you desire. If you don't like to write too much, maybe you can only write it 2 times. I leave that up to you. You can write. I usually recommend people write about 5 times. So this is why I like to keep it short. Keep it real short. Don't make it too long. Otherwise, don't make it a whole paragraph. Otherwise, you're going to get tired writing. So if you make it a whole big paragraph, then only write it once. Otherwise, write it, you know, between 3 to 5 times. If you make it a short paragraph. Short paragraph is like this. I love driving my new car. That's a short paragraph. And whatever that car is, I don't know. Let's just say it's a Ford. You know, I love driving my new Ford. Or I love driving my new, I don't know, you know, Chrysler. I love driving my new Town and Country. Any car that you pick, it's within the realm of possibilities. It's possibilities. And you write that, and then once you wrote it, you then scribe that very easy to scribe it 5 times, because we've removed the fluff. We removed all the fluff around it. We're going straight for the kill now. We're not saying, I'm so happy and grateful now. Don't need to say that, because that just adds to it. You can remove that entirely. You can just simply go for the kill and say, I love driving my new car. Name your car. Or you can make it slightly longer and say, I am so happy and grateful now, and I'm driving my new car. That's a longer way to write it. I think that even not necessary. The longer version is not necessary. You could just simply put the shorter version. I am happily driving my new so-and-so car. Full stop. That's it. That's all you need. You scribe that 5 times, 5 lines of text in the morning, boom, 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 boom. It takes you maybe less than 10 minutes to do that. You're done for the day. So pick your top goal. Write it on a piece of card. Maybe pick top 2 goals. Write it on a piece of card. Make 5 copies of that card. Maybe even more than 5. Put them all around your house. Put one on the fridge. Put one in the bathroom. Put one in your pocket. Put one in your workplace. So now you start working on it. And so this is the oath that you're making between God and yourself. And God will deliver it. As simple as that. It's not hard. It's not rocket science, as they say. There's no mystery to this. There's no magic. It is achievable because you made a covenant with God. God's going to give it to you. Period. You're a son or a daughter of God already. You don't need to jump through any hoops to become a son or daughter. He gave you birth through some family in this humanity. So it is all in the realms of possibility. Now, you can go to the church I've seen people who've gone to churches for 25 years of their life. Some of them have gone for 50 years. They've never got off their back. Nothing has changed. Why? Because the fear-mongering, the fear teachings that they get from churches, they never allow them to change. Now you're going to come out of fear-mongering. Now you're going to look at, not that you're going to be dead and raptured or not raptured, or some enemy is going to come and beat you up in the tribulation. No need any of those doctrines. Put them to one side and burn them forever. Don't even look at them. Now start looking at what good God can do for you. And this is a good that God can do for you, because God made a promise with Israel. And you can all be part of Israel. If you are not, you just say that I've come in, I like to live like Abraham, and I want to be part of Abraham's covenant, and I want to live the faith of Abraham, and I want to do as Abraham did. Now ask God what you want. Write down your desires and follow through with them. As simple as that. But like I said, first, remove the curse of poverty from your life. If you are poor, or have been poor, or suffer from having difficulties in paying bills, you need to remove poverty from yourself first. That's the first thing you need to do. And after that, we'll move on to the other things. And we haven't even spoken about angels yet. I hardly ever cover angels, but angels are there for our benefit. They're not there just as an illustration that God can only use them. We also have a stake on the angels' side as well. But again, that's a different subject matter. I don't usually delve into angelic cooperation. I should call it cooperation, because angels can cooperate with you. Angels can help you. Angels can do your tasks. But you need to know how to use those angels. That's another matter altogether. By the way, let me give you a little testimony of my great-grandfather. He used to have an angel that he used to call down. And I don't know which angel he called down. I can only guess. But he was able to call down angels and assist him. And he did. And that testimony was told to me by my father. So, as Rabbi Kefa is saying that churches leave you in hope, fear and poverty, the formula for missing your mark on this earth. Absolutely. And churches want to keep you in that particular hope, fear and poverty. Hope is maybe, one day you'll be saved, or you are saved, and one day you'll see heaven. Fear is that, you're going to be left in tribulation and not going to be raptured. And poverty is piety. Hey, if you're poor, you're pious. By the way, any such place that teaches this doctrine, run away, far away from there. Don't ever go to that place ever again, if that's the doctrine they teach you. So abundance is available to you. Tap into it. Today is the day. Today is the Sabbath. Today is a day of blessing for all of the nations on this earth. The awesome tribes of Israel and everybody else who believes in God is able to tap into abundance. Don't ever think that it's not available. Now, I just want to touch on something else that I was going to speak about, a little bit about Matthew chapter 2. Maybe I'll touch on it. And it says, Matthew chapter 2, you note that these men, they came from the east to visit Yehoshua the Master as a baby. And it says that chapter 2 verse 1, now when Yehoshua was born in Bethlehem of Yehudah in the days of Herodes the king, behold, there came rabbis, teachers from the east to Jerusalem, saying, where is he that is born king of the Yehudim, king of the Jews? For we have seen his star in the east, have come to pay homage to him. So these people came from the east, by the way. The rabbis or the teachers, they're called magi in most Bibles. Rabbi, they were teachers, rabbis, that they knew how to use the stars. They were stargazers as well. So this is something that our people did in the ancient times. We did delve into the stars. We knew how to look at the stars and calculate dates and do all sorts of, fancy things with them. Today, this is known as astrology. And also, you also have other things that are going on today that Gentiles do. They do things like tarot cards. They do, psychic readings. And then there's a few other things going on in the world today. Now, we've never really touched on it, but I'll just touch on it. There's actually intrinsically nothing wrong with tarot card reading, astrology, and so on so forth. But there's only one thing wrong with tarot cards and psychics. And that thing is this, that they can only tell you the present. They cannot tell you your future. So they will tell you present of whatever you are today. So what will happen is the adverse will happen. That they may put fear into your life with something they tell you. Because when they put fear in your life, then you say, hey, I don't like this psychic's readings, or I don't like this tarot card reading. Let me go to another tarot card reader. You go look to the next tarot card reader, and the reading changes. Then you get the next reading, which you kind of like, say, oh yeah, I like this reading more. Oh yeah, I like this psychic more. You don't need any psychic readings, Israel. You don't need any tarot card readings, because you have been given abundance. You can just call for it. Don't live in fearful mode of what psychics will tell you and tarot card readers will tell you, because if you don't like a tarot card reading, you go for the next and the next and the next, and you'll never stop. So tarot cards will only tell you of now, today. They cannot tell you what will happen tomorrow. By the way, what will happen tomorrow is in your hands. You can change it. Yes, you can change your future. Because as I just told you, if you put down a desire for a car or a house, you change your future. Tarot card's not going to tell you you're going to have a house or a car. You already changed your future by saying, I'm going to have a house and a car. I already have it. So you just change your future. So this is why I said that beware that tarot card readings or psychics, they only sometimes, inadvertently, they will put fear in your life. Fear will become a resistance. Resistance will become a hindrance. Don't allow hindrance in your lives. So this is why I would say stay away from these things. Stay away from tarot cards and psychics, because they may put fear. Fear in turn will put a resistance. Resistance in turn will make your manifestations harder. Okay? Note, it will make it harder. So you want to receive what you want to receive. Be set forth in your mind that whatever you want to receive, God is able to deliver. So you don't need a psychic to confirm it. Come on, you don't need a psychic to be paid $20 to confirm that. I don't need a psychic to tell me that I can live in my house in the future. I already know that. And I don't need a tarot card reader to say to me that I'm blessed. I already am blessed. I don't need her to tell me that. So just that, a point of concern, that I know some people like to visit tarot card readers. It's of no use really. Abundance is your natural path. Abundance is your natural blessing. Abundance is your natural mode. Why would you need somebody else to confirm that through a card and a picture? You don't need it. So don't worry about it. So with that, I'm going to pass it on to Rabbi Kefa. And you have a great day, a great Shabbat, and Todah Rabba for all of you here. Shabbat shalom, shalom, shalom.
To Baha Kohen, if I can be heard, can I get a 1? I just want to do a quick mic check, make sure everything's coming in crystal clear over there in Pensacola, Florida, in Ohio, Baruch Hashem, and wherever you are dispersed in the nations. To Daha Kohen for your marvelous instruction, great insight, and great doabilities. I'm coining all kind of terms. Doabilities. I think they're so very important, and we have the capacity to be able to do and able to be able to do. I think because that's our history. We're doers, right? And this is what the God of Israel liked about the family of Jacob. They were exactly what that priest tells them to do. Many of these non-denominational, they'll go in there and do exactly what that pastor tells them to do. And they're waiting on the pastor. How many of you know? They'll just sit there and tell you, well, pastor said. How many of you heard that said before? Well, my pastor said. Well, yeah, okay. Yeah, your pastor, but what does Jesus say? What did Jesus tell you to do? Well, my pastor said that Jesus said. You see? So you get, they have to put the third person in the way. They have to put that intermediary, the pastor or the preacher in the way, or the priest, when you have direct contact. Humanity has direct contact. You can go directly to God. Your lecture was so spot on because, we find that a lot of people are just sitting on the sidelines. And they're sitting on the sidelines out of ignorance. They don't mean to sit on the sidelines, but they're sitting on the sidelines out of ignorance because they've been taught. And they've been told, you have to find out what God wants you to do, brother. What does God want you to do? They sit there and ask you questions. What is my purpose? Well, what is your purpose? That would be my question. What do you want your purpose to be? What do you want to do? But they said, well, no, I only want to do what God wants me to do. How many of you heard that before? I want to do what God wants me to do. I want to obey God's will. God's will is that your will be fulfilled. What is your will? You see, a lot of folks are on the sidelines just because they've been mistaught. They haven't been given proper doability. Doability, if that's even a word. But I'm coining that word today. Because you need to have proper doability. So you can have the ability to do and then see the fruits of your labor. Many folks that have doability, but they don't have the proper doability. So they're doing, but they don't see no fruits of the labor. Like I said in this lecture, they never get off their back. You understand what I'm saying? Your message saying, when I was a Baptist, it was fire and brimstone. I'm telling you, yeah, that's the spookability. You have doability and then you have spookability because it'll leave you in fear. They're trying to spook you and just wear you down to where your inner self is non-existent. Much less cobwebs, you're just non-existent. You will never reach that inner self, that subconscious, and become conscious, and you continue to stay unconscious because they're leaving you in fear and doubt. But then there's hopeability. And then there's poverty. Because they'll tell you, just like Rabbi Zechariah talked about. They'll tell you, it's going to get better on the other side. Well, I don't want to wait to get to the other side. I want better now. I want better right now. I want help now. Oh, well, brother, when you die, you're going to be whole again and complete. Well, no, I want to be whole and complete now. How many of you of that mindset as well? You want heaven on earth now. And you know, one of these phrases, and I love to say this as I communicate with humanity. As I am a student of nature, as all of you are as well. You're students of nature. You live in this wonderful earth that is round, by the way, it's not flat. Many people have the mindset, oh, the earth is flat, the earth is flat, the earth is flat. One day I'm just going to fall off a cliff. The earth is flat, the earth is flat. No, the earth is round. Everything will come back. My father told me that many years ago about the bell bottom. Hang on, I'm hanging on to these pants because the bottom pants are going to come back and they're going to be popular. So he put mothballs in the drawer and he checked his bell-bottom pants. And sure enough, bell-bottoms came back. Because the world is cyclical. It's circular. But again, for some of us, we need to break the mold. We need to break this mode of conditioning of, okay, you need to break that record that tells you you don't have enough money. I tell you, that was so instructional, what you talked about. Because I see it a lot around me. I see it within my own earthly family here on this earth. Some, and by the way, for those of you who are dealing with that storm, my desires and my prayers go out to you for safety amongst everybody that's dealing with that storm that's supposed to hit Louisiana and all these other areas. My prayers go out to you, and I encourage you all to be safe. Be smart, be safe. Take care of your families. And that brings me to another point as well. If you know that these events are going to continue to happen, and I'm speaking to you from my own, my family I was born into here on this earth. Because all of them reside in Louisiana. Louisiana is where it's at. For my family. And a lot of them, I'm looking at my uncles, my grandmother had 12 children. One passed, and so 11. Survived. And majority of them never left the borders of Louisiana. Just like, there's this, they coined this one area here in North America, it's called Tornado Alley. Do you have that in the UK, Hakohi? We have a certain area where disasters just recurrently just keep happening. Do you have that, like, they'll name an area like Tornado Alley, or, you live down there in New Orleans, where you're so far below sea level that every time you get a little bit of rain, the levees breaking and everything floods, you have one big boat. I mean, I would encourage you, Mishpachah, if you're living in these areas and you see these things continue to happen yearly, and they even coin names, oh, this is Tornado Alley. Why the heck don't you back up, the children and the family move somewhere else more desirable and more safe? You see, why I just don't understand why people continue to live in these places. When Mother Nature, Mother Earth, the heavens is like, giving you warnings every year. Say, look, this is not a good place to live. It's not a good place to live. These events will happen. We have these seasons where these things will come this way. You can almost, put it down just like clock time. It's going to happen. Same way with California. How many of you in California have felt those earthquakes? Anybody? And they'll tell you the seismologists are telling people. Anybody here in California in the room right now? And you felt those tremors and those shakes? Anybody? Because they happened and they were real. It was two quakes back to back. I tell you, how long has the Kohen, the son of Aaron, been telling you guys, hey, if you're living in California, you probably want to relocate. There's wisdom in that, Mishpah. Not just saying that because he's trying to, oh my goodness, you see. So, this is what you must understand. You must understand this, is that, these are warnings for you to get out of these areas. Get out, relocate, for the safety of your family and yourselves as well. You see? So it's very, very important that you do understand that, Mishpah, is that you do not have to dwell in these areas that are conditioned, just like clock time, to have these events that's going to occur. Don't we have a hurricane season? There's a season here in America called the hurricane season. What do you have in the UK? Do you have such thing as a rainy season? I guess you guys have you have a flood season, a typhoon season. I mean, when these things happen, you must look at the areas where you're at and say, okay, these are parts, these are areas where I don't want to be. I don't want to be in these areas. I don't want to subject my family to being, put in these kind of situations. It comes a time when you have to take proper action. You must take action. You must move yourself. Some of you are, contemplating moves. Some of you are scripting moves for yourself. And I say, Baruch Hashem. But here in San Antonio, it's just as sunny as it can be. Baruch Hashem. I tell you, I'm not on the Chamber of Commerce here in San Antonio, but I tell you what, San Antonio, Texas is a great place to live. Rabbi Zakaria will tell you, and I think Athara, she's in the room, she'll tell you as well, where they're located, these are great places to live, raise a family. Get on with your life, be successful. See prosperity. Have heaven on earth now. This is the point I was going back to. In my conversations with humanity and with human nature, with the people around me, when I start a conversation with somebody, they say, oh, well, how are you doing? I tell them it's just another day in paradise. And they'll all look at me like, what the heck is he talking about? Paradise. We're not in paradise yet. We have to go through hell before we can reach paradise. No, you can have paradise now. And they'll all just put a smile on their face. Another day in paradise. Another day. Well, no, wait a minute. Some religions tell me I have to kill so many people to get to paradise. Or I have to suffer and be tormented here on this earth to get to my paradise. No, you don't. You can have paradise right now. Paradise is now. You just have to make paradise now. Some of you are making now hell. You literally are making now for you as hell. Because either that's what you've been taught, you see, that's what you've been told. Well, that's what you have been conditioned to learn, is that hell is now. Heaven is later. No, heaven is now. And hell is just a mindset. That's just what it is. It's a mindset. It's a tool to leave you in fear. That's all it is at the end of the day. Cropped up tool to leave you in fear. And then to have you hope for some outside of hell. And then we all know what that hope is. Hope is just a word that you don't want to have in your vocabulary. Because hope will hinder you. Everything that you want as children of the contract is for you right now. It's available to you. It's wide open. And it's what you're going to learn today that we read in our Parsha, because I'm going to focus on Numbers chapter 32. And Moses dealing with the tribes. Because I think it's important to understand. Is that there's so much freedom in the Torah of God, in the Torah of Moses, in the laws of God. So much freedom, so much flexibility. But we all have this mindset that if things don't happen just this way that I imagine, then it's not of God. How many of you had that mindset at one time or another? Or maybe you still have that mindset. If things don't occur just the way I want them to, now I'm not talking about your end result, because some of you are scripting the result I want to cause. But how many of you are worried about, well, how you're going to get the car? Well, is it going to come in an Amazon box? Is Publishers Clearinghouse going to knock on my door? And are they going to have this big check in their hand? I mean, that's the part that many people miss it. It's because they script the whole kit and caboodle. Well, it's going to happen this way. And she's going to come to me, and she's going to be wearing a red dress. And she's going to say these words, these words. I had the opportunity to meet a woman from Canada that I had brought my way. And in my conversations with this woman, beautiful woman, she had a great heart, but, she was living in this dream world where she was like, well, yeah, I had this dream. And the man that I'm to marry is going to say these words. And until this man says these words, I was like, what is this, like Rumpelstiltskin? They're like, yes, so mercy. She's like, I'm waiting for these men to say these particular words. And if the man doesn't say these words or answer my question this exact particular way, then he's not the man for me, and I'll never marry. I was like, wow, that's interesting, to say the least. Needless to say, I didn't have those words. I go, I was like, okay. And I began to think. I said, well, in Hokmah, if this woman is right for me, then, everything will, you will put the words in my mouth to say to this woman. But, Baruch Hashem, the Hokmah, in her wisdom, far beyond mine, truly, that we know that this wasn't. She wasn't. Because I didn't get those words. And I didn't answer the quiz just the way this woman wanted. Any of you ever run across a situation like that? To where you're in a relationship or you're courting or and the person tells you, yeah, I had a vision or I had a dream and it's supposed to happen this exact way. And if it doesn't, then that's it. Because I tell you, many folks are missing great blessings, they're missing great miracles happening in their lives, is because they're scripting things to happen exactly, not the end result, but the in between. Say like you have a sandwich. You have the one end and then you have the other end. But then it's what's in the middle that people try to script. And they script it to happen exactly the way they want it to happen. And when it does not happen that way, then it's not of God. Matter of fact, they'll say that's even of Satan trying to trick you. But the end result is met. But they say, no. They'll discourage, they'll disown them and say, no, that's not a miracle, that's not of God. Totally miss it. So you must understand this day, Mishpachah, there are many ways, and we say this in our scripting. I've heard our Kohen say this many times. As you're learning the proper communication as conscious people. Do you know, consciousness is a total different language than the language that we're speaking now, the language that you speak in whatever nation that you're in. When you become conscious, you have to learn a different language. How many of you understand that? It's a whole different language. It's a whole different syntax in the way you speak, because you don't speak in the past. You speak now. And for a lot of folks, that's even hard to comprehend right now. It's like, how can I speak now when I don't have it now? But you do have it now. And you will have it tomorrow. And the next day. And in the future, you will have it now. And the future will be now. That's hard to comprehend for a lot of folks. They can't comprehend, being present or present for that matter. It's because they're always in the past or the future. But you must make yourself present. This is like our Queen said in this lecture, this is a paradigm shift. You must be able to shift your thinking, shift your thought process. Get rid of the conditioning that you've been taught for so many years. Because grandmama said it, because mama said it. Because grandpa said it's going to happen this way. He said something so instructional in his lecture. And many people have the mindset, well, brought up this way with this condition. You would ask your father for something, he'd tell you, I don't have the money. Or you ask your mother, we don't have the money. We don't have the money. How many of you know that? How many of you understand that? People around you, they'll sit there and tell their children, don't have the money, don't have the money, don't have the money. So when you grow up, guess what you develop? Guess what's etched in your brain? Don't have the money, don't have the money. So you begin to tell your children that. You begin to tell yourself, we don't have the money, we don't have the money, we don't have the money. That right there is the spirit of lack. That right there is the action of lack. But doing is lack. But don't have the money, don't have the money. I want a new car, we don't have the money, we don't have the money. You see, you can't see beyond that. You can't see that, oh, I want that new car now. Why you don't have the money? Well, I have that new car now. Money is irrelevant. You see, like Hakohen has taught us in our scripting, is that what you must understand is that things will come to you. Yeah, you have your end goal. That's your scripting, your end goal. You want that 3-bedroom house. You want that 5-bedroom house. But what you don't need to concern yourself with is how. The how. Like, oh, Oh, well, what is it going to be? Is, the money, I'm just going to come with a check in the mail? Or how's it going to happen? You see, because you have to remember conventional and unconventional ways. How many of you have seen it already? Maybe you have, in your visualizations and, as you visualize things in the morning or if you do it in the evening, whenever you do it, and you begin to play this movie like you think it's going to happen, but then you realize when it does happen, your end goal is materialized, is manifested, you attracted it, that it happened in a totally different way than you imagined it. Anybody? Because I'm telling you, I leave that open for the universe to handle the way they want to handle it. But my main concern is the end result. The end result. Getting from point A to point B really doesn't matter to me. How it happens doesn't matter. You see, a lot of folks are missing the blessing because it can come in many ways. Like I always said, sometimes the plans can change. The plans can change. Yeah, the end goal is always there for you, wherever it may be for you. For instance, if somebody, a man, he wants a wife, he wants a mate. He understands two need to become one. And he's flipping that mate just the way he wants her. But then, like in his visualizations, he sees this woman coming up to him in a red dress. Oh, she gave me this red dress. She came up to me in this red dress. And it just so happened in his relations, and in the physical presentation of how things are going about in his daily life, his daily living, he meets this woman on the job, or not on the job, because I would encourage you to meet a woman on the job. He meets this woman while he's on lunch at his job, and she's in the blue jeans and a white shirt. But this man, he sees this, woman in a red dress, woman in a red dress, woman in a red dress. So, is he going to miss out on this relationship? And this woman in the blue jeans and white shirt, oh man, they hit it off nice, everything's groovy. There's a bond there, and they're getting along, and they've been going out to the movies, took it out to eat, having a good time. They make a great conversation together. And this woman has everything that he's been scripted, except she wasn't in a red dress. So is he going to excuse her and say, nope, you're not the one because you're not in the red dress? Well, that happens sometimes. You have to be mindful of that. And I want to bring that to your attention this day. Shabbat. And don't miss out on your blessing because it doesn't come back to you the way you think it should come back to you. Because it can come in conventional ways and unconventional ways. Don't miss your miracle because it didn't happen the way you thought it was going to happen. The end goal was met, Baruch Hashem. Give thanks to the universe. Give thanks to the Master Yeshua that resides and dwells within you. For owning up to the covenant as a child of the covenant. Continue to believe. But don't believe the woman has to come in a red dress. Because you're going to miss the woman with the blue jeans and the white shirt. That's everything that you want and you scripted in a woman. But because she didn't come in that red dress, you missed it. Don't let that be you, Mr. Hoffman. You get that 5-bedroom house, the opportunity to, get that 5-bedroom house. The house just like you wanted it. But you, in your visualization, you saw, well, no. The name of the street is going to be Guthrie. And the name of this street is Brown Street. Oh, this is not the house. Oh, no, this is not the one. Get me behind me, Satan, blah, blah, blah. You miss it. Many of you are thinking right now, well, I'm not seeing any materialization, manifestation. I'm not attracting anything. I would encourage you to take the time, look back, rewind, and I guarantee you, your scripting, your meditations have been manifested, but you missed it because, it didn't happen the way you thought it was going to happen. I will encourage you to do this. Sometimes we put ourselves too high when we need to stay low. And be mindful of everything that's happening around us. Because remember, conventional, unconventional ways. And there's many, many different ways that a plan can come about. I want to show you this with Moses and his interaction with the 12 tribes as they get ready to go in here and take the land that's been promised to them. That was the plan in Numbers chapter 32. But we see that the plan was changed. Can anybody tell me how the plan was changed in Numbers chapter 32? The tribes come in and some of the tribes come in and want to change the plan. What is the original plan for the family of Jacob? For the 12 tribes. What was the original plan coming out of Egypt? Can anybody tell me what was the plan? And it's been said over and over and over in our history. Is that the plan is that they have to go into a land flowing with milk and honey. Am I right? Isn't that the plan? The promise and the plan was that they were to go and they were going to live and dwell in a land flowing with milk and honey. Is that not the plan? Anybody still with me in the room? Y'all already started getting into Shabbat sleep mode? I understand. But was that not the initial plan? The promise? Think about this for a minute to double your responses, by the way. Maybe some of you are in heavy thought, and that's great. Because I want you to understand it. I truly want you to understand it so you don't miss it. That was the plan. That was the purpose. The promise was, okay, you're going to leave Egypt, you're going to come out of bondage, and I'm going to bring you into a land flowing with milk and honey. But who can tell me, when you look at Numbers chapter 32, who changed the plan? There was some plan changing going on. And then Moses, he gives this great history lesson to the children of Israel. Lest you forget. You see, sometimes when we look at things with our eyes, we're totally blinded by the true purpose and the plan and the promise because we only see with our eyes. Isn't that what happened when the 12 spies went in to the land of Canaan to do an assessment? I mean, think about it for a minute. Let's think. Plans can sometimes change. That doesn't mean the promise changed. But listen, when you look at these other tribes, Chadasha, that y'all had a woman of 10, she named some Manasseh, Reuben. Some of these tribes had another plan. They said, wait a minute. They were promised a land flowing with milk and honey. I mean, you guys need to go back and read Numbers chapter 32. You'll see this. I mean, the blessing is milk and honey land. You see? When the 12 spies went in, if we go back and revisit that history, 12 spies went in. The plan, the purpose wasn't to go into the land and come out and talk bad about the land, because the promise initially from the very beginning was what? This is a land flowing with milk and honey. Why are you going to come back and begin to slander the land? Speak against the plan. That causes a lot of trouble, Ms. Bahar. Some of you are slandering your very own things that you're scripting. You're slandering it, and you're speaking against it. Yet you're writing down, oh, I want this 5-bedroom house. I want this 5-bedroom house. And you're saying, well, you're writing that down, you're scripting that, but then you're going out and you're saying, oh, I don't have the money for a 5-bedroom house. I can't afford a 5-bedroom house. I don't have the money. Don't have the money. Don't have the money. Don't have the money. But you're scripting, oh, 5-bedroom house, 5-bedroom house. Don't have the money. Don't have the money. At the end of the day, what did Marco say in this lecture? At the end of the day, you know how you're missing it? Because you don't believe. Yeah, you write it, but you have no belief behind it. Doability, 0. Matter of fact, probably the negatives when it comes to doability. Because you don't believe. How is doability going to work for you? You're going to have the ability to be in that 5-bedroom house when you really don't believe it, but you're writing it down. Oh, I'm going to get married. I'm going to get married. I'm going to get married. I'm going to find that right ruling wife, right ruling husband, however you say it. I'm going to find that mate that's going to be loyal to me, respect and honor me. You're writing that down, you're scripting that, What's your durability factor? When all day long, all day strong, you only think about, nobody wants me. I'm not marrying material. You see, you've already changed your promise. I want all of you to keep in the back of your mind always milk and honey, milk and honey, milk and honey. Because that's what you are. You're milk and you're honey. You're milk and honey. You're not mold and mildew. You're milk and honey. But a lot of you see yourself as that mold and mildew. No, you're milk and honey, baby. Milk and honey. For the people around you, for your family, for yourself, for your nation, you milk and honey. You're not mold and mildew. You see, that's what the religions want to tell you. Oh, you got to be mold and mildew. And then one day you're going to get cleaned up and you're going to be milk and honey. No, you're milk and honey now. You're milk and honey, Mishpahah. You're sweet. You're nourishing. My goodness, isn't that beautiful? That's what I'm hoping, by the way. You're milk and honey. You're not mold and mildew. Humanity. So sometimes we'll sell ourselves short, just like God did. Sold himself short. Oh, you've been promised a land flowing with money. But hold up, wait a minute, Moses. Can we talk to you for a minute and I'll paraphrase? Because you can read our history in Numbers chapter 32. Spelled out as clear as day. Moses began to give the children of Israel a history lesson after they decide, oh, wait a minute. Moses, we just conquered this land on this side of Jordan. So, this land is ripe and ready. We like this land. Well, wait a minute. The promise was that you were going to go into the land flowing with the milk and honey. But no. On the other side of Jordan. But no, we like this side of Jordan better, you see. They're trying to change up the plan, the promise, which Moses initially didn't like. But again, remember I talked about earlier, there's so much freedom and flexibility under the laws of God. Moses, of course, had to give him a history lesson. Look, this happened once before. Let me tell you what happened. When you go against the promises of God, speak against the promises of God, it's almost like God's promises are not good enough. I have a better thing. That's what God thought. I have a better idea. That's what Reuben thought. Manasseh, that's what they... No, we have a better idea. Our sheep and all of our riches need to stay on this side of Jordan. Of course, Moses wasn't too happy with that after seeing the history of his people and what happened initially. And why that generation that came out of Egypt, out of bondage, why the majority of them died off in the wilderness to bring up a new generation to play the same old record again? See, that's what Moses was seeing, that same old broken record. No, Moses is going to shatter that. That's not going to happen again. I can't wait for another generation to die off before the land is seen. It just can't happen. You were promised the land flowing with milk and honey. Why do you want to stop right here? Why do you want to stop right here? That's not the promise. That's not the plan. Moses, and I'm paraphrasing, but this is how he's talking to the tribes. Don't lose your focus. Don't just settle. You're milk and honey. Why do you want this side of the Jordan? When you're milk and honey, oh, but the land looks so good, blah, blah, blah. Same way with that woman. Oh, but Rabbi, she looks like J-Lo. She looks like Beyonce. That's all. She's it. But no, you didn't get that woman that's on the other side one. No, this one's okay. I'm happy with this one. I'm content. 2 weeks later, you get a divorce court. Oh, Rabbi, she look good. You understand what I'm saying? The grass is not greener on the other side. And I'm pretty sure, and I'm paraphrasing, but I'm pretty sure that's what Moses was telling the people. You get land flowing with milk and honey, you're just looking at this green grass and all this land over here on this side of the Jordan. When on the other side of Jordan is land flowing with milk and honey for your animals. But you want this when you can have that? That's a lecture. You want this when you can have that? Story of some of your lives, huh? You want this when you can have that? No. Remember, you're milk and honey. You're not mold and mildew, Mishpah. Just because it's dressed up and it looks pretty and the grass is green, that's not for you. Don't settle for that. Well, Rabbi Simon, he's talking about the Kohen, he's talking about this, you can have this 5-bedroom house, but I'm happy where I'm at now. Well, if you're happy where you are now, fine. You only script what's been, if you have your heaven now, fine. Look at him. But always know, while you're breathing on this earth, that things can always better and better and better and better and better. That's living in abundance. Don't just settle. Don't settle, which is being seen. Don't settle for a negative checking or savings account. Don't settle for that. Remember, you're milk and honey. And there are many ways. Just like Moses negotiated with the tribes of Gad, some are Reuben, some are Manasseh. He negotiated with them. They said, okay, if this is what you want, you see, because at the end of the day, it's what you want, you see. According to, if you like the house you live in, then ask for it to be paid off fully. No more loans. Rule this year. There are many ways. Some of you may be happy and attached to the home again. Here's my thing. I'm happy and attached to the home that I am. Guess what? I want another home. Who say you can't have 2 homes, 3 homes, 4 homes? Believe me. That's the way we roll as children of the covenants. Men had more than 1 home, by the way. Mishpah, I just wanted to let you know that. But if you're happy with this 1 home, then use Hakolim's instruction here. Fully paid off. Maybe do some renovations to it. No more loans. Baruch Hashem. But always don't just settle. You see, I'm trying to get your, my desire is for you to come out of the bubble and to see, you can have, who say you can't have more than 1 home? Yeah, you love that home and you're attached. That's great. But how about establishing other things and another things and another things? America is a beautiful country, isn't it? There's many great places that you may want to live. I'm going to have a house in Florida, one in Houston. These are things, but that doesn't mean my house in San Antonio is not still going to be my house. I'm just establishing more bases, you see? And then wherever my children may want to settle, I'll put a house there too, so I can be next to them there as well. Fly in, fly out, go see them, do whatever. Because traveling is in my scripting. I want to travel, man. I love traveling. How many of you like to travel? I love to travel. We'll see this big world. That's what I want to do. So again, you don't have to just settle. You don't have to settle for the mold and the mildew. You always remember is that you're milk and honey. That's covenant. Milk and honey. So please explain to me, for some odd reason, why are all these religions teaching that you're not milk and honey, and that you're mold and mildew? When the very Bible that they have on a bookshelf and that they wrote, will tell them that you're milk and honey. That Bible is about prosperity. It's not about poverty, for sure. Prospering in every part of your life. Some Christianity has grabbed hold of the prosperity side of it, but they haven't been given the tools on how to get it, because they feel like they have to go to a go-between, like the priest or the pastor. And it's the pastor that's prospering. Just like I will tell you, pastors are prospering. They have all the land and the home. Believe me, here in San Antonio, he has more than 1 home. And he has many lands. Believe you me. So is the purpose for these pastors and prophets and so-called priests and all these other, is it for them to prosper? Is there not a trickle-down effect? Shouldn't we all prosper together? You see? Think about that for a minute. Is there not a trickle-down effect? There's no such thing in our history, in our heritage, as the haves and the have-nots. For us, everybody has. You're havers. You're not have-notters, Mishpah. And I understand that mentality. Maybe some of your family members never told you, your father never told you, you didn't have the money, it was just silence. You just didn't get it. And it was just silence. You asked for something, and it was just silence. You just didn't get it. It just didn't come your way. Santa Claus didn't even bring it. Some of you were probably skeptical about Santa Claus at a very young age, because Santa Claus never brought them things that you wanted. You didn't even get lumps of coal in your little stocking thing that you would hang above the fireplace or wherever you would hang it at in your house. But today is a new day, a new time. You're milk and honey. Now that you understand it's milk and honey, you must understand also that there are many ways, many ways to bring about what you want in your life. That mate, that job. There are many different ways. I'm learning that. And don't sleep on meditation, Mr. Hart. Meditation will begin to open up so many things. Just in this past week, I've just noticed that in my life, because I took the time to just get away. I really did that this week. And just really focus on meditating. I'm telling you, my goodness, meditation opens up many doors to you. And it shows you this world that's, it's a whole new world over there. It's an infinite world. Meditation does that. Don't sleep on meditation. It'll bring you to a better place. Some people call it prayer, whatever you want to put the name on it, the term on it. But do it. It will take you inside of yourself and bring out your real self. And not this facade that you put up for so many years, that you built based on other people's thoughts, not your own, what other people think about you, not truly what makes you happy, but because you're out trying to make everybody else happy, that you never really had the time in your life to really focus on yourself, to really look at yourself, make yourself your best friend. I think that's so important. To know oneself is the beginning of wisdom. To really know yourself. Self meaning what? That subconscious. That's self. That I am that's within you. The God that's within you. Not seeking for God, but it's somewhere, in a far distant country, distant place, unreachable. But finding the God man that's within you, the God woman that is within you, each and every one of you, that's telling you this: you're milk and honey. Don't settle for the other side of the Jordan, this side of the Jordan. No, you want to go to the other side, the land flowing with milk and honey. And I'm not knocking those folks that love the hoopty. You have your hoopty, you love driving your hoopty, that's fine. But remember, you're milk and honey. You're milk and honey. So should you not have the best of the best? You absolutely should. But I know you've been conditioned for such a very long time not to have nothing. Not to have nothing is actually a good thing. That's totally false. And I kept wondering, Hakolim, as a Christian, I was like, why the heck? I'm doing all this stuff for God and the church, and the Joneses over here don't even go to Sunday church. And they have a BMW and a Mercedes in their driveway, and this nice big old house, and their family, they're all happy, and they got this boat, and they go fishing, and they got this RV, and I'm like, wait a minute. Why? And I'm the Christian. They're the sinners. You know what I mean? How many of you been where I'm at one time? And I'm thinking like this. I'm like, my goodness, I'm serving God, and I'm doing everything that the church want me to do. And look at the Joneses. I'm going to church. Mr. Jones out there cutting his grass. I'm like, wait a minute. What's wrong with this picture? What is wrong? Well, guess what? Now I realize that the Joneses were meeting their desires. They were meeting their mark, and I'm over here, with mold and mildew Christianity. Just over here molding and just rotting away. And just being fed a bunch of mumbo jumbo that doesn't make $1 out of 15 cents. Because every dollar I get, I got to give it to the pastor for the building fund. And because he wants to go do this, and we're going to start this new project, but nothing for me. Because the church tells you that you don't be selfish. When that's just what you need to be. You have to look into yourself. Every one of you in this room that have gone back to the perfect law, you understand it. You have to look into yourself. That's where it starts. Perfect law brings you right back within. Not without seeking out this, seeking advice from here, there, everywhere. This is where you miss it. If you do that, you're going to miss the mark. It's because you're going to get confused listening to this just Joe blog, this guy, your name is Joe, no offense, this guy over here, this woman over here, they have it, they have the, and all they have is mold and mildew. You don't even see within yourself, within you is milk and honey. Just flowing, but it's milk and honey within you. And once you tap into it, it'll begin to flow out of you. That's beautiful. It's nothing to do with religion, Mr. Hart. If you're here for religion, you're totally in the wrong place. You're totally in the wrong place. This is about life, and that life more abundant, just like the Master Yeshua talked about. Master Yeshua didn't walk around saying he was a Christian. He definitely didn't walk around saying that he was Catholic. So these are things that you must understand. You must understand it in many different ways. Many different ways that your desires can be met. What you need to understand this day is that you don't want to miss. You don't want to be hoodwinked and bamboozled and so blinded. The blinders are off now, Mishpachah. You're no longer blind. Now you see, but you're a baby now. You'll be when it comes to, your I am. Now you have to crawl before you walk. And these are the steps that the Kohen, the son of Aaron, has taken us through now. As the children of infinite abundance, the children of the covenant. As milk and honey. That's what we are. That's just another name for the laws of Moses. Milk and honey. It's just what it is. This Torah will nourish you. It'll sustain you. Milk, what does milk do to the body? Anybody tell me? There's one commercial you always see on TV. Milk does the body good. Anybody remember that commercial? Milk is very good for the body. Honey as well. The sweetness of life. Not the mold and mildew of life, but the sweetness of life. How many of you have a sweet life right now? You might want to assess that. And if you do, guess what? Your life can even get sweeter. Don't settle. Like Gaul decided, no, I'm going to settle for this land on this side of Jordan. Can you imagine? I can see what Moses was doing. He's like, my goodness, man. What do you mean you're going to settle for this land on this side of Jordan? Oh, yeah, it's very green, and it's very lush, and it's great for our animals. Moses is trying to tell these tribes that kind of want to, just settle. Yeah, we want to pitch tent. We want to settle our families here. We want to settle and put up our gates here for our animals. This is what we want. Now, at the end of the day, did the tribes get what they want, Mishpachah? Ooh, what a great lesson this is. Did the tribes not get what they want? Can anybody tell me? At the end of the day, when you go and look and you read Numbers chapter 32, did the tribes that wanted to settle on this side of the Jordan, did they get what they want? Anybody? Crickets in the room? Are you reading it now? You speed reading it real quick? They absolutely did get what they want. They absolutely did. What is that telling you about us today? It's so instructional, right? What is that telling about us today? Is that, yeah, the promise is the promise is the promise. Milk and honey. Now, some said under that, what do you want? Do you want the milk and honey? Some folks don't want the milk and honey. They're going to settle for this side of the Jordan. And what does the God of Israel say? That's okay. What does Moses say? That's okay. Now, you still have to go and do what you're supposed to do. We're still going to take the land, and guess what? You, as a family member, you're going to have to be a part. You're still going to have to do what you have to do. Doability is still going to have to be there. But what do you want? Yeah, we're going to take this land. We had this allocated for you on the other side of the Jordan where the land is flowing with milk and honey, but since you don't want it, then yeah, you can go ahead and keep this over here. But first, let's keep the promise. Wow. What a great lesson, right? What great instruction. Because at the end of the day, the creator of the heavens and the universes, he only wants to give you what you want. This is what's so important. And you know what? Kudos to these tribes, because they stepped up and said what they wanted. Wow. Isn't that something? They didn't want milk and honey. They wanted this side of the Jordan. Okay, so be it. So be it. Bukashim. That's what you want? Okay. Remember, there's still a mission that needs to be done. And you're part of the family. So you're included. All inclusive here, baby. But think about their mindset for a minute. Think about their mindset. They were going to go in here and participate as a family to take this land of the Canaanites. But then they didn't want the reward. They didn't want the rewards on that side of the Jordan. They were happy when it was on this side. My goodness. I'm so happy that my tribe, Judah was silent on this one, Bukashim. Judah was like, yeah, let my brother talk. We want in. We want dibs on this land on the other side of Jordan. I mean, in Bukashim, right? Come on now. And I'm of the same mindset today. I want my milk and honey. And I want milk and honey today. I want milk and honey now. And I want milk and honey tomorrow. And I want milk and honey the next day. Milk and honey, milk and honey, milk and honey, milk and honey. Milk and honey. I want the milk and honey, Miss Brown. Maybe that's not what you want. Maybe some of you are happy on this side of Jordan. So be it. But always remember is that you're a family member. There's a mission that needs to be done. Do you see the flexibility? Do you see the freedom within the Torah? Within the promises of God? It's so flexible. Because at the end of the day, the law of God only wants to give you what you want. What did God want? Oh, we want this land on this side. No problem. You can have that land. But first you must own up to the promise. You just can't say, oh, well, we're not going to go across and fight with you guys, and we're going to just keep this land. No, you're going to own up to the promise. You're going to go over there and you're going to fight. You're going to fight as a family. How many of you consider yourselves family in this room right now? Then you need to fight as a family. We all listen. You need to fight as a family, Miss Bahar. We're a family. And we all fight together. We fight. Not that we're picking up arms, because I'm not condoning all that stuff. But we're peaceful people. But we keep the promise. We're keepers of the promise. Now, what do you want after the promise? Now, what would the promise be today in the form of? There's still our covenants, right? But now we understand it even deeper, our covenants. You never remember we always talked about peeling away at the layers of Torah. My goodness. Now we get into the perfect law. The perfect law. Perfect law. These are the things that we have to look at and examine and for our lives this day. So the question of want has always been around in our history. What do you want? It didn't start with the Master Yeshua. He thought, well, what do you want? Come on. God let Moses know what he wanted. Reubenites, Gadites, they let Moses know what they wanted. Manasseh, Manasseites, they let Moses know what they wanted. And I'm pretty sure they knew what the promise was. So then there was some negotiation. And, again, I firmly believe that God puts leaders in place for a particular time. And President Trump, I tell you, great leader. And you know what he knows about? He knows about making deals. How many of you seen that? I mean, come on. Proof is in the pudding. Look at America today. Look at America today. America is the envy of the world. And I'm not knocking all of you in all these other countries. I'm not knocking you, but just look at America. America's stock market, America's natural resources, America's, my goodness, we even taken back our intellectual rights. Do you know China's been stealing our intellect? Do you know how China got so powerful? Off of the intellectual capacity of Americans. These businesses, they go in there, you have to tell us your full plan. We want to know your inventions, how you do it, if you want to do business in China. And then the Chinese will take that and build and multiply that. But we're taking that back now as well. Intellectual capacity. You look at our, our ability to invent and new inventions, AI technology. Natural resource. Do we need to talk about that for you Texans? You already know how we roll down in Texas. I mean, just oil just coming in infinite abundance. My goodness. Prosperity is just all over the place in Texas. I see it. I'm living it. Look at Shem. And you wonder why people are tearing down the gates, tearing down the border walls to get into America. Do you see it? And by the way, these people that's coming in on the border down here in Mexico, they just not from South America, by the way. These are people coming in from the east as well. They're coming in from as far as China. The Chinese down there at the borders down here. And our Mexican and U.S. border. Think about that for a minute. People are knocking down the walls to get into America. Believe it or not. It's real. Why? It's because they want some of this abundance. Do you know? Let's just look at unemployment. There's so many jobs out here that there's nobody to fill them. There's jobs in America now. Right now. There's too many jobs and not enough people to fill them. What other country has that problem? Think about that for a minute. What a great problem to have, right? As they consider it a problem. What a great situation to be in. So you look at America at this point. This is what a great country to be in. I give thanks to the Master Yeshua for this person who stands to be in this great nation. It is a great shepherd nation. Great. I would have to argue the greatest shepherd nation out here today. But you have to be able to make deals. You have to be able to negotiate. And that's what the tribes were doing with Moses. They were negotiating. Hey, let's sit down and talk about it. Yeah, we know what the plan is. We understand what the promise is, but we want to let you know what we want out of the deal. Do you understand? We want to let you know what we want out of the deal. You know what I mean? That's what it's about. We want to let you know what we want. Is there anything wrong with that? Of course not. Of course not. This is why this question needs to be echoed and needs to be verbalized in your subconscious, as your conscious. What do I want? If I ask you in this room right now, what do you want? Can you tell me? If I ask you in this room right now, you see, for you keyboard warriors, now's the time for you to really take something of purpose and of meaning. What do you want? Right now, tell me what you want. We have like 22 people in this room. Tell me what you want. How many of the 22 people are going to step up and tell me what they want? The Torah says money. Cut and dry. Just like Cody said. Get right to the potatoes. No shucking in it. A Torah, you have money now. A Delia, you're rich now. Anybody else? No shucking and jiving here. Oliver says money too. Oliver, you have money now. Abundance, infinite abundance in money now. Now you have it. That's just I don't want to keep the commandments of the Father Yahweh. Well, you keeping the commandments of the Father Yahweh now, Yajan. Now. If that's what you really want. Hakoi says scripted, and you will see it in real time. Hebrew 100 says money. Now, indeed, money. Abukashim for money. Now. And don't just say money, because guess what? You're limiting yourself when you just have more money. And you're limiting yourself when you're rich. I want you all to get specific. How much money you want, because you can pull up your wallet and say, well, a universe saying, well, you got money in your wallet right now. You know what I mean? This is why a lot of money, that's hard. That's not saying anything. A lot of money could be $10 to one person. $20 could be a lot of money. You see? I mean, yeah, like Hakoi saying, you got to be specific. I love this for you. You must be very, very specific. I mean, hone in on a bird's eye. You're an eagle. You flying high. Yeah, there you go. Now we're cooking with grease. $10 million. Charles says, I want $10 million. That's what you want. Milk and honey. Milk and honey. Milk and honey. Don't make yourself mold and mildew. You see? Akoi says, then scripted, it shall be. So it shall be. Scripted. That's what you write. That's what you want. The promises are the promises are the promises are the promises. The covenant is the covenant is the covenant is the covenant. But at the end of the day, what do you want? The covenant still stands forever. The promises will stand forever. Did the milk and honey stop because we are not in the land of milk and honey? Did the milk and honey stop flowing for the family of Jacob? I submit to you not. Put a number on it. And then believe it. Like Akoi said, once you script it, then believe it. Be consistent with your scripting. You see? Akoi says, what are you asking? Yeah, Akoi says, what you are all asking is a dot in the universe. It's nothing, indeed. I remember that one lesson just a while back. Akoi said, take a piece of paper and take a pen and put a dot on a pen. That's what your want is to the universe. It's nothing. To the universe, it's nothing. You need to know what you want this day. You need to know what you want. Because if you don't know what you want, who else does? You think God knows what you want? He don't know what you want. But many people are waiting. Oh God, what do you want me to have? And that's why God is silent to you. Because God is like, well, what do you want? You never told me what you want. And then I'll tell you what I want you to have, because I want you to have what you want. I hope you all understood that, because there's wisdom in what I just said. There's a lot of wisdom in that. What do you want? That's what God wants you to have, whatever you want. Whatever you want to be, whatever you desire for yourself. Whatever makes you happy, whatever gives you peace, whatever gives you joy. At the end of the day, that's milk and honey. For you, may not be milk and honey for the next man or woman, but that's milk and honey for you, and so be it. Be happy. Be full of joy. Be full of peace. You see? That's what's important. At the end of the day. Because many of you are thinking, and I understand why, because you've been conditioned to think, oh, well, I might be asking too much of God. It might be a sin for me to ask for just this such amount of money. I don't know how to go before God. I'm just so, I just need to humble myself and not make God angry. Are you kidding me? You need to go before your Father and tell Him what you want. Tell Him what you want. And any father worth his weight would not give his child what he wanted. And I'm paraphrasing, but didn't the Master Yeshua, he talked about the very same thing. If your child comes up to you and asks you for something sweet, you're not going to give him something sour. If he comes and asks you, for a dog, you're not going to bring him a snake. When you ask for something and you want something, ask for it. Go to the Father and ask. Go to the universe and ask for it. Write it down and believe that you have it. And you already have it. It's yours now. Remember that there's many different ways to come about getting it. The promises are the promises are the promises. Just like you saw with God, some of the tribes of Israel, they were able to negotiate. They were able to make a deal. You see, you can negotiate and make deals today. You just go and ask for the deal. This is what I want. And most of your wants, I'm pretty sure, most of your wants are going to be sanctioned by the universe. Majority of all your wants, unless it's some kind of like outlandish, ridiculous thing. And again, if it's something like that, you may want to run it by the Kohen. And if it gets clearance from the son of Aaron, then it's it's green lights, baby. There's no caution light. You don't put on no yellow light here, no red lights. It's all green light. It's all green light for yourself. When you begin to understand what power that we have, I noticed that this week, what power that we have within us. We're such a powerful people. People are powerful, but they haven't tapped into their power. And they're looking for their power in the Avengers. You see, they're looking for powers out. Well, you're stronger than the Avengers. Hey, what's that guy on the Avengers that had that thing on his arm? What was his name? He had that thing and he had all those little jewels. Did you see how he had those jewels? And when he collected, what's that guy's name? He collected all those jewels and then he had the power to just, I guess what was his name? Yeah, Thanos. Well, thank you for that. You're more powerful than that. You wield that. You hold the keys. You are the milk and honey. You have the ability to manifest whatever you want out of the universe. You have it. It's within you. God is within you. Jesus never left you. The Master Yeshua is with you to the end of this age. That's what he says. So wherever you go, he is. So he must be in you, because if he follows you everywhere you go, he's in you. He's wherever you are. You have that kind of power within you. But we only see that in dreams and what Hollywood says. That power is within you. You don't have to go looking for it outside. You don't have to do like Thanos. Well, when I collect all these stones, then I'm going to be able to do all of this blah, blah, blah. No. The stones are already within you. There's nothing for you to collect. You do have to collect yourself. That's what you have to collect. You have to go back and collect the subconscious within you. Because there's been so many firewalls put up. Your mind has been playing tricks on you for so long. You've been in mind control for so long. You have to go back and connect yourself. That's the key to unlock the universe, to wield that power. And believe me, it's an energy, Mishpahad, that's undescribable. And believe me, it grows. It'll grow. And your energy level will increase. Your frequency, your vibration will increase. But you better bring things in and call things in if you want. Call it in. Reel it in. Rabbi Zakaria, reel it in. And so shall it be. And whatever makes you happy, whatever gives you peace at the end of the day, whatever gives you love for humanity and joy, that's what you want. That's default setting. And that may be different things. I love money and money loves me. We have a relationship that will last forever, you see. So if I sabotage myself until uniting with my ideal spouse, can I retrieve a new spouse? Please give me a few words on how to unsabotage the previous desire, wish, and receive the dream life with him. What correct word should be used? I don't know the right phrases to say for my script. Simha, that's more on a personal level. I would encourage you to send Hakohin an email to give you the exact script that'll benefit for you and your situation. Because, yeah, that's more personal, and you should send an email into Hakohin to really help you in that area. To really help you do that. I mean, previously we all had some rear view mirror relationships that we see it in the rear view mirror, but we keep going forward. And that's all that experience did was really help you at the end of the day. Because I've been there with you and I've done that. And it's really empowered me and really helped me. And it's given me fuel. And I tell you what, Simha, you know what it's done for me? It's proven to me and it shows me what I don't want. You know what I mean? It shows me what I don't want. You see, and because some people don't know what they really want, but they know what they don't want. So then you do the reciprocal, you do the opposite of what you don't want. That's what you want. You see? And so that's been really helpful for me as well. And so I tell you, I told Hakohin this just yesterday. I come out of litigation courts on Friday dealing with the ex-wife. And I tell you what, Mishpahah, that right there is a miracle in itself. I'll give you a little bit of it, and I give thanks to the universe. I had to circulate $22,000 to give to the ex-wife. $22,000, and like Hakohin said, that's a dot on a piece of paper. $22,000 was circulated to give to the ex-wife to close it off, finish. It totaled in $30,000 in total. But as of yesterday, I had to come up with, I had to circulate $22,000, and the universe did it. So there's nothing that, cannot be done. And everybody around me is looking, with their jaw down because everybody around me didn't believe that could happen. Lawyers didn't believe it. Ex-wife, she didn't believe it. But I believed, and I knew it would happen. And I proved, and I told them this. I said, you know what? I'm going to show you how strong my God is. This will happen. This will happen just like this. This will happen this day. This one will have this money. Now they know the power of the God of Israel. They know the power of the promises. They know the power of the covenant. And real life people, me, a child of the living God. We know the God of Israel is no respecter of persons. The universe is no respect of anybody. So this is very, very important for you all to understand. There's no such thing. There's no problem. I'm milk and honey. I'm not telling you something that I don't live. In my life, I live this. This is real to me. The perfect law is real, and it's no respect of any person. You just have to apply the perfect law, doability. Hakohin said, I'm so happy, and this is for anybody else that may have, like Simha put it, you may have sabotaged your past relationship. This is how you say it. I am so happy and grateful that I have a loving relation with my husband. He loves me greatly and appreciates me in his life. There you go. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. So for anybody else that's, you may not know how to script it the proper way, this is a great script that you can use. Rinse and repeat. Rinse and repeat. It can work for you as well. Before I close, how many of you in this room right now are still looking for that mate? Anybody? You looking for that significant other? Put up an M if that's you. You're looking for a mate. You're looking for a relationship. M or R. Anybody? Because I know a lot of you have been scripting this. Maybe you've already found it. And Baruch Hashem, thank you to the universe for that. But anybody, you're looking for that mate? You're looking for that two to become one? Two to become one? To top of your responses, by the way. Hakoin is saying, here's another way you can write it. I am so happy and grateful now that I have an incredible relation with my husband/wife. It is fabulous and out of this world. That's beautiful. You see, scripting is powerful, Mishpachah. And when you script and you couple that with meditation, wow, I'm telling you, you're in a whole new universe, believe me. And it's beautiful. Because this is a whole new language. As you can see, language is important. So if you don't get the language right, sometimes, not that it'll kind of limit the strength. You see, I want to be operating at full capacity when it comes to transmitting and receiving. How many of you know what I'm talking about? If you don't know this, I'm going to give you a newsflash. You're a transmitter and you're a receiver. Now, the strength, your amplification of your transmitting and receiving is based on how you speak, how you talk, how you script, and how you believe. That's the key. You got to believe it. And I knew with every ounce that's within me that $22,000 was going to show up. It was going to do it. I didn't stress over it. I didn't worry about it. I wasn't angry with the ex-wife. You know what? I told her, I said, hey, thank you. I wish you a wonderful life, and thank you for those 10 years that we had together. And thank you for the experience that you have given me. You have made me so much stronger. I wish you the best of life here on this earth and happiness in your life. And her mouth hit the floor. But you know what? That's how I felt. That was me speaking from my inner man, inner self. Anybody else, if you knew the situation, would have said, you're a liar, you're a cheater, you hoodwinked me, you bamboozled me, you told me that you were going to do something and you didn't do it, you didn't keep your word, you didn't do your part, I did mine, you didn't. But no, there's no need for that. I'm going to empower her as I want to be empowered, Mishpachah. Hakoin always tells me this, money will come and money will go. That's what happens in life. Because guess what? We're money trees. We print money. Believe me, we're money trees. See yourself as a money tree. You print money. Money will just continuously come off. You just go pick it off a tree. Put that in your visualization. That's powerful. You see? Infinite amounts of money. That's what I see. I just pick it. I can just pick it. Pick it off a tree like I pick fruit. You pick it right off a tree. What's $22,000? That's a dollar. But again, I want to leave a person the way I want to treat a person the way I want to be treated. I want to be empowered. So guess what? You have to empower everybody else around you. You can't consider yourself being empowered and amplifying your frequency and your vibration and your energy by going around shooting everybody down, condemning everybody, being judgmental. No, I'm here on this earth to do what? To enlighten people, to be a light, to enlighten them, to empower them. To have a better life, to have a great life, to have a life of peace, a life of love. Isn't that beautiful, Mishpachah? And it can happen. We can do it one person at a time. I'm doing it here in San Antonio. I know Rabbi Zakaria is doing it up there in the Dallas area with the gym. And it's happening. Oliver is doing it at France, Vive la France. Oh, by the way, Oliver, I hope you didn't mind our women's soccer team beating y'all down. I hope you didn't mind that, by the way. Anyway, it is what it is. We still love you at the end of the day. Again, the greatness of America. As you see it, Oliver, as you see it, UK has seen it as well. For you in the UK, you witnessed the beat down of our women's soccer team. Got the smack down on you. So again, that's just what it is. The infinite abundance of America. The infinite abundance of America. Baruch Hashem. And I say that in all humility and in all humbleness as well. And very happy. Very, very happy. But again, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. Is that we can all laugh and we can all get along and we can all be happy. You know, when some people got to win and some people got to lose. Some people win some battles, but they don't lose the war. You know what I mean? Get back in it. It's just motivation. It's fuel for me. Like I was trying to explain to the ex-wife, that's fuel for me. Thank you for what you've done for my life. Because she's made me tap into really apply the perfect law and see the perfect law work. Some people call it a miracle. It is what it is. I'm milk and honey. That's just the beginning. So again, I will leave you all, and I love you all, and I wish you all a great Shabbat for your families, friends, and loved ones, and a great 6 days of labor ahead over there across the pond. But you know, like this, make this real in your life, and understand that there are many ways. There be negotiations. Always understand that you can negotiate because you're negotiating from your point. I can see what God was trying to do. He's got all this sheep. He see all this land and said, okay, this is good enough for me. Hadn't even seen the other side, but he said, no, I'm happy with this. I appreciate that. I respect that. Moses did, of course. You know, he gave him a little history lesson, put the tribes back on point. But again, if that's what you want, that's fine. All of you, you want something. And to die for your responses on what you want. And hopefully your warning has been really clarified today. And we've honed in on your warning, and we made your warning more specific. So that the universe, I mean, you're really amping up and increasing the attractability, the manifestation to come in better because it's clearer, you know. It's not all fuzzy-wuzzy. These energy waves are crystal clear and they pinpoint. I want this amount of money. This is what I want. Don't just say, I want to be rich. I want to be wealthy. No, you put a number on it. And then you believe it. You believe it. And every day you believe it. And every day you believe it even more. You believe it. And you have it now. Have it right now. So on that note, we'll wrap it up on this end over here. By the way, if you still want to help out, I'm going to go to the Hebrew box over here and check my box out. But if you still want to help the Christian lady out, there's still opportunity. If you want to circulate money and you want to help out in that aspect, Mr. R, you can do it. You still have the ability to be able to do it, to be a participant in this mission. And this great mission, do great work, and to amplify, and to strengthen your energy, strengthen your vibration, strengthen your frequency, to help attract and bring in and manifest those things that you want. Money is nothing to the universe. Believe you me. It's nothing. I've seen it in my own life. It can happen. Manifest $22,000. That's $22,000. I want to manifest $1 billion. I want $1 billion, Mr. Hub. $1 billion. My money tree will bring that in. Several money trees. I just don't have one. I have several money trees. And I take care of them. I water them. I do this. Money trees are real. Now. So on that note, I'll turn it back over to Hakohen, and you'll have a wonderful Shabbat. Great 6 days of labor ahead. Over to you, Hakohen. And Simha, I hope this was helpful. I know this was helpful. I don't hope. There's no hope for me. I know this was helpful to you. And you know what? When you do bring it in, I'd like you to share it with the family. When you do manifest it, please share it with us. And we'll celebrate with you. Shabbat Shalom, Mr.
Yeah, Todah for that, Rabbi Kefa. Now, as we go back earlier, remember that what Rabbi Kefa said, that you've got to be very specific with what you want. You can't just say, I want money, I want lots of money, I want loads of money. You see, all these terms are relative. They don't really mean too much, because what may be, money to you, it may be a lot of money to somebody else. $1 is worth, maybe if you go into a foreign currency like Vietnamese or Chinese, it may be worth a lot more foreign currency. So to somebody, $1,000 to one person may be nothing, but to another person, it's a lot of money. So when you say, I want a lot of money, well, what does that mean? You want $1,000? $500? That's a lot of money. You see, so therefore, you need to be very specific with the universe. Be very specific. Ask for what you want. Don't just be like, well, I don't know. See, these are the kind of vague, ambiguous, ambiguous terms that don't get you nowhere. You need to know what you want. So, first of all, like some of you said, you came up with figures. Don't, don't take those figures for, maybe it's too much. No, don't think like that. When you want 10 million, or when you want 110 million, or you want 194 million, write it down. Ask for it. How do you script it? Very easy. You say, you can say to the effect of, I am so happy and grateful now that I have $194 million. in my bank account. Thank you, universe. Very simple. How hard was that? No, not hard at all. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have $10 million in my bank account. Thank you, universe. How difficult is that to say that? Very easy. So once you can write it down like that, and you can script it daily, then you can get it as well. See, you need to know. If you just put, I have lots of money, well, what does that mean to the universe? Universe doesn't understand what lots of money is. It doesn't know. And let me tell you something of importance. If you think the universe balances everything out, you'll be quite mistaken. Universe balances nothing out. So don't ever think, oh, universe is fair to everybody. It's not. Because one person on the planet is a gazillionaire. You know, one person has $1 billion in their account, and another person on the other side of the planet is begging for food, don't even have the next meal. So is the universe fair? No, the universe is not fair. Is it equally distributed? No, it's not equally distributed. So let's get out of that kind of, mentality as well. A lot of people live in the mentality that everything is fair. It's not. So we are now dealing with God and man, or God and woman. You have to be specific with God, then God can give you that request exactly as you ask for it. He can give you something better, but He's not going to give you something less. But you have to put your belief and your what you want to the paper. If and when I want to buy a house, and same for Rabbi Kefa, same for everybody else, if we go to buy a house and we look for a 3-bedroom house, and we go to sign a 3-bedroom house in a lawyer's office, we don't end up at the lawyer's office and the lawyer says, hey, I haven't got that 3-bedroom house, let me give you a 2-bedroom instead. Right? That doesn't ever happen. Well, why would God do that then? If a human lawyer is not going to do that, then God is ultimate judge of the universe. He is definitely not going to do that. So when you ask for something in a specific amount, you say specifically, hey, I want $20 million. Then you're going to get $20 million because you asked for that amount. Or you can put it up, or you can put it like this. You can put it like this. I am so happy and grateful now that I have $10 million or better in my account. Put down a date on it. How about I give you a little bit more? Put a date on it. What's the date? Okay, let's think about a date. Let's put it to the end of the year. Would you like to be a millionaire by the end of the year? Well, let's put it down. I'm so happy and grateful now that I have $10 million before the end of December 2019 in my bank account. Thank you, universe. How's about that as a statement? Yes, you have to visualize. Don't visualize the money in the bank account. No. What you have to visualize is you visit the branch. You visit your bank. And you say your good morning, your good afternoon, whatever time you're visiting, and you ask the bank clerk, what is my balance, sir or ma'am? What is my balance, ma'am? And the ma'am tells you that your balance, sir, is $10 million and change. How can I help you today? Oh, I like to take out 50,000 French francs. I need to go purchase something out there, whatever it is you're purchasing. That's how you do it. It's a feeling of knowing that you have the money. It's a feeling of you going to the bank. It's a feeling of you receiving it from the bank. So you got to see the end product. You wouldn't just go to ask for a balance and she says, oh, you only got 10 francs, sir. Well, I need to take out 50,000 francs. Well, you don't have it, sir. See, that could be the other reality. So the reality is this, is that you name an amount. I have $10 million. I'm giving you a rough example. No amount is too small and no amount is too big. So you say an amount, you say, I'm so happy and grateful now that I have $10 million before the end of December 2019 in my checking account or in my bank account. Okay, you've done that. That's the first part. Second part, visualization. You go to the bank, you talk to the cashier, you say to her, ma'am, I like to take out 60,000 Swiss francs or 60,000 French francs or $60,000 or 60,000 pounds. You say that. You see that every day. You script it every day. You script it. Guess what's going to happen? You have from now till end of December, there is at least 5 whole months there. You have 5 months to bring this money into your reality. And the universe will do everything in its power to give you that money if you followed the correct procedure. Now it may be, it's not for everybody, it may be for some people. For some people, it may be that you do not see it at the end of December. No problem. You make it you just change the date and push it forward to the following December, 2020. Easy. Because you're saying before the end of 2020. You're not saying at the end of 2019. You're saying before the end of 2019, then defer it a little bit. But it will happen. Now you might say, well, why couldn't I receive my $10 million by the end of December? Why would I receive it at the end of 2020 or before the end of 2020? It's very simple. A baby is not born in 3 months. A baby is born in 9 months. A chicken egg, from what I understand, hatches between 21 to 28 days. So it depends. Maybe the universe sees this amount as a chicken egg and it hatches in 21 days and you have the money. Suddenly, out of the blue, one day you're walking by a lottery, you buy a shop and your intuition says, buy a lottery ticket. You get a lottery ticket and boom, you got your money. Or, you're buying your lottery tickets and nothing appears to be happening, and then one day, boom, before the end of December, you hit the jackpot. Or it could be that something else happened. You got the money another way. It doesn't have to be lottery ticket. It could be that, you were digging in your backyard and you found a rare diamond. That diamond is worth millions of dollars. That has also happened to people, by the way. I knew of one man who wanted riches in his life. Of course, he wanted a particular type, particular amount of riches. He wasn't saying lots of money. He was saying a particular amount. Guess what he found in his backyard? This is a true story in America. He found a rare stone in his backyard. In his the 4 or 5 acres or whatever acres of land he had a rare marble stone that was so rare that people use it for decorative purposes. When the people came who wanted to dig out those stones, the company that wanted to dig them out, they said, you have $5 billion worth of that stone there in your backyard. So he instantly became a billionaire. He didn't need to do a lottery ticket. So don't think that the lottery ticket is the only way the universe can do it. Universe has a gazillion ways to do your request. Gazillion ways. Your request can come to pass in many, many different ways. And we just don't know what way it will come to pass. All we are doing is making the request. I don't care if my request is for $10 million. I don't care how the universe delivers it. I don't care if it's a lottery. I don't care if Uncle Jack, who I never even knew, left me a will of $10 million. I don't care how it's done. I don't care if it's a property you buy and, in the backyard there's some rare stones, or, you were walking on the seaside and you found this rare diamond. It doesn't matter. Who cares about that? It's irrelevant. In the scheme of things, it's what we call bridge of incidents. It will be one incident to another incident to another, and before you know it, you have that money in your bank, and you'll be like, wow, how did that happen? It's because you willed it. You called for it. You brought it in. Because when you ask something to God, God's word never fails. Now let me tell you another secret. When you're asking God, you're using God's word. God's word, Logos, the Devar, the person we call Jesus of Nazareth, he lives within you. You're operating through him. And when you're sending that word out, what does scripture say? The prophets say, God's word never returns void. So when you're sending that word out, it'll never fail. But only thing you have to do, Olivia, is go to believe in it. It's a simple thing to ask. I'm not asking you to do, I'm not asking you to put a deposit of $1 million to receive 10. Those scam schemes you get from Nigeria all the time. Oh, give me some money and I'll send you $10 million or $20 million or $40 million. These are all scam schemes. What I'm giving you is what God can deliver based on your belief system. If you believe it and you ask for it and you script it, so I only ask you to do 2 things. Number 1, write it down, believe that you can receive it. Number 2, script it every day. Script it religiously. every day. Believe it that you received it, you have it. Number 3, the universe will do everything in its power to give you that amount of money. Or better. Because if you change it to, I like to have 10 million or better, then 10 million or better will turn up. So that's as simple as that. So this is why it's not hard, but you got to choose the right words. Wording is important. You can't say, I like to have lots of money. Well, what is lots of money to the universe? Is it $10,000? Is it 10,000 rupees? Is it 10,000 francs? What is it? We don't know. It's ambiguity, isn't it? It's an ambiguous question. Lots of money doesn't mean nothing. But when you say a set amount, I like to have £1 million in my account by the end of September 2019. Now that's a set amount. Now you got something to work with. Now the universe has received. Now God knows that this is the amount my son or my daughter needs. Now I'm going to work to provide it. All He asks you to do is believe. And if you put your belief in, and the desire. Now if you believe it, what's the belief? You feel happy about it. You feel joyous. You feel nice in your bank. That's the other thing is a desire. You mix in a little bit desire, a little bit of happiness. No, you have this, this dull face, and there's no smile on your face, and your wife comes into the room and says, "What you got your dull face for? Why you got so dull face?" So you got to have a happy face. It doesn't need to be a smile like a joker, but it needs to be just a happy face. Just be happy about it. Be in the knowledge that is going to come into your life, and know that you have it. Know that you have it. Don't think that, how is He going to come? How is He going to send me this much money? It looks like a lot of amount. It looks like big money. No. I told you, to the universe, it's a dot. It's nothing. Yesterday I was looking at biographies of billionaires, young billionaires, and these billionaires, young billionaires, some of them are like 21 years old. One was like 7 years old, and he acquired $1 billion of inheritance. They probably don't even know what they got at that point in life. And so they were saying that their fathers or their grandfathers, they gave them that wealth in a company they owned or some other way. So, what did it take for them to acquire it? What does an 11-year-old or a 15-year-old take to become a billionaire? Nothing. So why would it be harder for you? Don't ever rate yourself as, that man over there is a billionaire, and I don't know how I'll have it. You can have it as well. As Rabbi Kefa said, his goal is $1 billion, and Rabbi Kefa can have $1 billion. He at least has got a set amount. So set your amount. So write it down, follow it through as I explained, and put a date on it. Don't just, don't make it dateless. Put a date on it. Put a date on it for the end of this year. It gives you 5 months to work on it. A little bit of getting up early in the morning, little bit of writing it in, and little bit of work. Okay, and some of you may struggle. Some of you may struggle because you get up 5 o'clock in the morning. You're like, my eyes are shut. Let me teach you another technique to open your eyes a little bit. You squeeze your eyes 3 or 4 times. If you're falling asleep, squeeze your eyes 3 or 4 times. Open your eyes, wide, and then close them again. You won't fall asleep. But remember that this technique I'm giving you is a technique that has worked for billionaires. Yes, billionaires have used this technique. So they don't think that those billionaires became billionaires from without using the techniques. They actually use them. They won't tell you that. Why? They don't have a stake to tell you. They'll keep it to their grave. I was reading about this Steve Jobs. Steve Jobs, before he became a billionaire, he actually sat and spent time with the Indian yogi, a guru, who actually guided him into meditation and how to acquire his wealth. So before he even got the billions, he actually was meditating. So as Rabbi Kefa was telling you, meditating is very powerful. And by the way, Jesus also meditated. The Bible doesn't have to spell everything out, but it's all there. So to you, right, prayer might be just chanting a particular word, but prayer is actually meditating. Prayer is actually saying particular words about particular things, desires and requests. If you do those, then things will happen. Our Hebrew language is very powerful. There are certain ways to use the Hebrew language to bring things into effect, put them into motion. But that's another subject altogether. So, keep in check, keep in mind, write your desires out clearly. Write them out clearly with amounts. Don't just say, I want lots of money. That's just neither here nor there. Write an amount in pure figures and then work on it every day. Believe in it. Receive it. Feel happiness in your body, in your spirit that you've got it. And you will have it. It's as simple as that. So I leave you with this and have a happy Sabbath in North America, and those of you across the board, have a happy week ahead. Have a great week. Shabbat Shalom, and Shalom Shalom to you all.